BB ICC decision, fallout, Matt Pedo Gates, drama, AG pick, and more news. Later, I dive into why the 4B movement exists. No, I shouldn't say that because the people who like 4B will come after me and they'll get mad because they won't listen to this as a joke. Later, I learn about Korean dating life in a video game. Okay. Gooners out, baby. Did you listen to the Kendrick album? No. Chat, what are you talking about? The Kendrick album? I don't think you understand. New cabinet appointment approved. Kelly Loeffler? Ugh, gross. Is Pam Bondi any better? No, no attorney general for Trump is going to be better, dude. What are you, crazy? There's no such thing as a good... There is no such thing as a good pick for the Trump cabinet, okay? That's just not going to happen. I mean, if you are a perma-war type of person, then yeah, you look at like Marco Rubio and go, well, that's a reasonable pick. That won't rock the boat too much. We'll still do a lot of wars, luckily, you know? But outside of that, I guess at least Pam Bondi, as far as we know, is not a pedophile. What don't we understand? You cut yourself off in the middle of a sentence. I always do. Another 2 women to Yuman's house. I know, Yuman is the GOAT. I feel like at this point, you just have to do like at least light sexual harassment or something to be able to get picked. So I suspect they're going to be like, I suspect Trump is going to be like, come on, grab like a young male staffer's ball sack or something, Pam. Come on. Come on, Pam. Are you with it or are you not? Come on, Pam. Show us what you got, Pam. Pamela. Show us what you got. You know, are we going to cover the Russian escalations today? I covered them yesterday. I guess we could talk about it more today as well. Do you watch Bleach? I do not. I do not watch Bleach. Anyway, here it is. Once again, blast off. Let's get it going. Let's get it twisted. Thoughts on new Kendrick? I'll look at it in a little bit. Okay. I'll stay away from Ming Chung. She's with me. Nope. Too late. Kendrick, GNX, Kendrick Lamar. You know what? I'll put new Kendrick on there as well. Fuck it. Why not? Kiss more men this time. Anyway. Tell George you'll be there too. Maybe he'll go to the awards then. No. GNX is a spiritual experience. Yeah, I saw this. State of affairs in the Democratic Party recently has been this. Okay. It's very cool. It perfectly captures the essence of both parties, okay? One side is like, I'm going to kill you, trans person. And then the other side is like, I hope we can give more money to Israel, please. Excuse me. We're here to do a job. Excuse me. We're here to do we're here to do a job, please. And it's called, yeah. Oh, yeah. Please vote for me. I believe we should come together as Americans and man, shut your old, rich, racist, white ass up. I'm going to deport 1 trillion Mexicans. I mean, this is also true. It was really funny. It was like Mitt Romney is a particularly funny person in this meme, because if you know anything about like the Republican Party, Mitt Romney was like running at a point where the Republicans were like, damn, the Democrats are really cooking us, man. We really maybe have to restructure the way we talk about Latinos and immigration. Maybe we should be more like the libs. And then he got owned. And then Trump came in and was like, no, Mexicans are rapists, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? And everything changed. Like, there was a point where the Republican Party was like, maybe we're being too harsh on immigrants and we should probably not be that way. And then Donald Trump was like, nope. Don Jr. did a bump on camera. Yeah, I saw this. It's pretty crazy that he just gummed it up too. Like, someone said it was a Zin, but I don't think so. He's fixing his Zin, you idiot. Nah, I don't think it was a Zin, man. I think he was gumming it. I have a Zin in my mouth right now. I'm a Zinner. You see? I think he was gumming it, dude. He was just gumming his cocaine. Why are peeps posting this dumb shit? Is it because they're trying to justify voting for Kamala? Wait, what? Okay, first of all, you can't say posting dumb shit and then send me an Emma Vigeland link, okay? I will always push back on that. Emma is the GOAT. Majority Report is great. Okay, so is Kyle Kalinske and Secular Talk and all these other places. Okay, everybody calm the fuck down. Calm down. You know, the fuck? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay. There is no infighting between the majority report and myself. We're not doing that. That's dumb as fuck. Okay. And this is why there was a real opportunity to pressure Harris to change course on policy if she won. Biden's Zionism was uniquely rabid, racist, and untethered from reality. I don't agree with her on this. I'll be honest. Like, I don't think Kamala Harris was going to change trajectory on Israel at all. But, you know, you can have disagreements with your friends who you admire as colleagues and peers. Okay. Anyway, Maya does smash her pass with peach jars, but won't do that with you. What are they smashing and passing? Anyway, dude, this is funny. The Cheney endorsement made nearly 3 in 10 independent Pennsylvania voters less enthusiastic about Harris's campaign from Data for Progress. Jay Robertson responds, I'd rather lose an election than win with voters who actually oppose a big tent. I think there's nothing funnier than thinking that big tent party attitudes are for anything but winning elections. Okay? There's nothing funnier than being like, no, I'm just a big tent rider for the principle, you know? But then again, that is literally the Democratic Party's attitude. The notion of bipartisanship for the pure, for just the sake of bipartisanship alone. It's not to like pass your legislative agenda, right? It is actually just to say that you are being bipartisan. Like, that is the point. That is the purpose. To me, that's idiotic because I care about progress. I care about actual politics and not some weird ideological nonsense. This was a great TikTok for the history of illegal immigration. Let's see.
Was invented in 1882, specifically to exclude Chinese immigrants. 1875, like, it was a little more vague than that. So like in her, like basically around the time she's born in what became Poland, right? That's when the United States invents the term illegal immigration, applies it only to Asian people. And then she moves to the United States in 1907. In 1924, which is only 17 years after that, the term illegal is applied to Europeans for the first time, because they have national quotas, right? So like the nerve of her descendants and like the collective descendants of anyone who came through Ellis Island and Castle Clinton to say, my ancestors came legally. Yeah, because there was no illegal for white people then.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Yeah. What is this? Not to read, but just want to shout out my goat, Gary Lineker. This sport may be a blunt tool of social change, but it's time to take a stance against Israel. Oh my God, Gary Lineker coming out and popping off, dude. My Lord. I volunteer at a fire department where most of the guys, wait, hold on, let me just pull it from here. I volunteer at a fire department where most of the guys are Republicans, some explicit Rogan fans. They all agreed they hated Liz Cheney and the military industrial complex. The funniest thing was I brought up Vivek Ramaswamy. They all agreed he was weird, but thought he was somehow appealed to moderates and even liberals. Yeah, I think that as the battle lines are drawn, as ideological boundaries are set, and people just basically operate on people just basically operate on hug boxes and echo chambers, you are going to see more and more of that. Like, there's nobody like wants to understand what other people are thinking at all at this point. I hate to be that guy who's like, oh, we need to find a center. I'm not saying that at all. But I do think that there is value in fucking talking to, you know, your fellow man, right? And understanding where they're coming from and try to convince them that they might be wrong. But no, don't do it in a fucking weird, annoying debate lord way. Do it in like a cool way where you're a cool guy.
I'm always scared to call Hassan when he's live because he's always talking about something tragic and it looks like I'm out of touch.
He just says the N-word.
Yeah, see, I'm not calling Hassan. I'm not calling Hassan. Not now. I have to call him when he's offline.
You want me to be cool, bro? That's not possible. Sorry. I know chat wants to call out every lib they see, but this fucking infighting doesn't get us anywhere. Everyone want to be the most moral when we're all trash. I mean, you gotta have boundaries though. You gotta have enemies, okay? You gotta have ideological opposition. That's a big part of the problem. And Liz Cheney is my enemy, okay? That's it. If you're a white dude who is like routinely going out to bat publicly and saying the N-word, okay, as a white guy, you're my enemy. You're not a fucking friend, all right? Like, it's how much time and emphasis and effort people spend on certain things that should also, try to, that's also, in my opinion, a good way to assess whether or not someone is truly on your side. Okay? But when it comes down to it, like a guy like Bradley Martin, who's just kind of operating on whatever is out there that he's just like responding to, that's a little different. You know what I mean? The closeted Republicans in the party need to be purged. Do you think your Unc is going to leave the left? He's got me kind of worried. No, I don't think Unc will leave the left, but who knows? Azan, when are you going to make a Blue Sky account? Stop, please. Please stop begging me to make a fucking Blue Sky account. Y'all are so lame for this. Maybe one day, okay? Maybe. Not yet. Shaky Gurga. All right, where's Themasius with the playlist? I'm sure he sent it to me and I didn't see it. Does anyone have Themasius's fat playlist or what? AOC seems more active. AOC seems more active there. Yeah. Staying on Twitter is very pathetic. Brother, I've talked about this a million times over, okay? It is my only form of communicating with journalists all across the globe, especially in fucking Palestine. What do you want me to do? Tell a dude who's literally experiencing genocide that he should get on fucking Blue Sky so we can communicate with one another? No, that's not going to happen, okay? I'm a goddamn adult. Shut the fuck up. Like, y'all are crazy. As long as the media is still on and breaking stories on Twitter, and it's my primary method of communicating with members of the media, then I'm still going to be on there, okay? Till the very last breath. Bot already has 18K followers on there, okay? So you can follow my bot. My tweets already get mirrored on there anyway. Sorry I'm being such a hater, but the vibe on Blue Sky right now is people who say notorious RBG. Oh my Lord. Nancy Mace got cooked. If I can say a word in Nancy Mace's defense, she has dietary issues that leave her not only constipated, but when she does have a movement, it's loud enough. Wait, what? No, this is not a real person, dude. This is not like a real, this is not a real congressperson. It's a fake congressperson that is probably stealing someone else's like viral fucking meme. Daisy Cubby, thank you for the 5 tier 1 gift to subs. Blue Sky is somehow worse than Twitter because it's just as racist and bigoted, but it's liberal racist bigoted Twitter. Wait, really? Look, I don't mind it. It's great that people want to have their own place. You know what I mean? People want to have their own space. It's fine. They can. It is what it is. All right. Blue Sky bans pro-Palestine accounts. Nice. Not gonna lie, I deleted my Twitter shortly after the X rebound. This bitch. Oh yeah, you're happy with what you did? She's like, yeah, I did that. I dropped my fucking bone. Anyway, cat behavior. Oh no, she has hella cat behavior all the time. Minnesota Buddhist Lama celebrates 18th birthday before Himalayan journey. What am I clicking on, dude? I'm clicking on anything and everything that they send me in the chat nowadays. Blue Sky does not delete pro-Palestine accounts. There are a million of them. Okay. Least unhinged Israel defender. Oh, I saw this. Yeah. This child starvation doesn't count because he's disabled is a sentence that only makes sense if you have been poisoning your brain with fascism for years. Yeah. It's a perfect demonstration of like defenders of Israel and how like out of touch they are with the way that normal people encounter this sort of stuff. Bernie Sanders is a child with degenerative neuromuscular disease to try and convince people that Israel is starving Palestinians. This man is sickening. And it's like, it's such a clear-cut demonstration of just being vicious and empathic in your defense of Israel. Like it is what I talk about all the time with respect to fascism and defending fascism and what that does to your core humanity. Okay? It ends up dehumanizing you. That is precisely what's going on here. New low, notorious Jew hater from Awesome Jew. Jews at Jews are the goat. New low. Notorious Jew hater Bernie Sanders shows a picture of a Palestinian child suffering from degenerative neuromuscular disease and falsely blames this on Israel's starving Palestinian children. Like when you're calling Bernie Sanders a notorious Jew hater, okay? I'm sorry. Like no American is going to agree with you, okay? The only other American that agrees with you is going to be just as insane as you, and there's not a lot of them out there, okay? Like, that's insane. Bernie Sanders is, you know, is literally the epitome of an old school working class Jewish New Yorker, right down to his accent, and half the man's family died in concentration camps. What the fuck are you talking about? Is great, yes. Oh, the post you retweeted today was so crazy. Oh yeah, I thought this was hilarious. Is Hassan Piker cosplaying as Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar? Yeah, dude. I saw that. Someone posted from their fucking psychotic harassment Discord where they were like, I don't get it. Is he actually trying to look like Yahya Sinwar? He has that scarf. I've only seen that scarf on on Hamas militants. Thank you for saying that I look like a guy who had the best hairline I have seen. Okay. I will take that. This man had a 3 head. Okay. Literally the best hairline. Straight up. Oh, this is the one. It's so funny. Look at this. My haters are working overtime. Wait, is Hassan dancing with the Hamas scarf? Didn't Bad Bunny get banned for wearing the headband? It literally is. It's what Sinwar always used to wear to his rallies, Lamau. It's a keffiyeh with green and red on it. It's literally exclusively worn by Hamas members. There's not a single Fatah member that wore that specific scarf ever. It was only worn by Hamas members. Yeah, like, I don't understand people trying to argue with me over this law. Even other people, I guess, in the Discord, in their harassment Discord were like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Is he wrong? Yes. Yes, chatter. He is wrong. The idea that this scarf is exclusively worn by Hamas members is insane. Okay? What are you talking about? One side is the keffiyeh, and the other side is the Palestinian flag. And no, it is not exclusively worn by Hamas members. What the fuck? Yeah, they clipped me the finger up too to be like, I'm trying to look like him. I wonder what community these people turn to after they're told they're too crazy for the group. Anyway, what is this? Yeah, Yahya Ibrahim Hassan Sinwar. Uh-oh. Real. I was just watching a recap of you wearing Hamas on you. Looks crisp. What Hamas on me? Yeah, Hamas members also wear shoes. Time to go barefoot. Yeah. Dude, the Pope is Hamas, obviously. So, Amazon, Hamas. Yeah. Seth Meyers on Trump's cabinet picks. Billionaires are effectively running the government now. I mean, they're not being radicalized in real time. I think Seth Meyers always had a take like that. Honestly, US, UK would rather enter into a missile war with Putin than recognize an ICC warrant for Bibi or provide any meaningful aid to real people dying. Is fuck. Yeah, so here's the thing, okay?
It is, right now. There have been very few problems. Leave it the way it is. North Carolina, what they're going through with all of the business.
Yeah, this is when Trump was woke. Okay, calm down. This is when Trump was woke in 2016 when he was pro-trans. He was a chaser, and then what is it called? Was it Barbies? Like a beautiful trans baddie actually curved him, and his life. Oh, dolls, not Barbies. A doll curved him, and he became incredibly angry at trans people. He was already a chaser. And then when he got curved by a doll, everything changed for him. You know what I mean?
Moved quickly to replace former Congressman Matt Gaetz after he withdrew as nominee for Attorney General, replacing him with former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karls at Mar-a-Lago with the latest on that. Good morning, John.
Where'd you get that scarf? I got it at the DNC. There was a member of the uncommitted movement that was at the DNC that gave it to me.
Good morning, George. With Donald Trump's new pick to be Attorney General, Trump is showing once again that among the top qualifications he is seeking for his cabinet is personal loyalty. Just hours after former Congressman Matt Gaetz dropped his embattled bid to be Attorney General, Donald Trump had a new choice to run the Justice Department: former Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi, a Trump loyalist sometimes seen on stage at Trump rallies.
President Trump has been out there fighting for us non-stop. And if he's out there fighting for us, we're gonna fight for him.
In announcing his choice, Trump praised Bondi as a smart and tough America First fighter, pledging she will, quote, refocus the DOJ to its intended purpose of fighting.
Dude, Trump literally went from Matt Gaetz, who was going to be loyal to him, obviously above all else, to a person who he literally paid to be his lawyer. Like, I mean, we already knew that he was going to pick someone, he was going to go for the loyalty pick, but like, it is pretty funny. I mean, this is like, I'll just say it like this. Institutional norm defenders freak out over this, but like, I mean, JFK did something similar too, right? It's just something that people do. Okay, don't you always pay lawyers? I'm just saying, like, someone who he paid to engage in legal defense for him. Qatari Cat, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Holy shit. God damn. We're in the pocket of Qatar, ladies and gentlemen. You already know. You already know we're in the pocket of big Oilers. We got Qatar in the building. Also, Chatter's talking about how, like, don't you always pay your lawyers? If you're Donald Trump, no, you don't always pay your lawyers. Okay?
Crime and making America safe again. Bondi served as Florida's Attorney General from 2011 to 2019, a tenure not without controversy, including her decision to pass on a case against Trump University shortly after receiving a donation from the Trump Foundation. But both Trump and Bondi deny any wrongdoing. After Joe Biden won the 2020 presidential election, Bondi backed Trump's false claims of election fraud. More recently, she has worked as a lobbyist and a registered foreign agent. Among her past clients, the government of Qatar. Perhaps most importantly to Trump, she's been a loyal member of his inner circle for years now, joining him on the campaign trail back in 2016.
I can tell you firsthand, when it comes to law and order, you know I don't mess around, and neither does Donald Trump.
You know who else is not messing around? Stop giving a sheet. Who just gifted 50 gifted subs. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And serving on Trump's
I don't know why big gifties are rolling in. And I didn't realize that this would be the case as soon as I stopped running ads. But motherfuckers have been oiling. Motherfuckers have been juicing, okay? And I thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, it's the discount. Oh, that's probably why. God damn. Nice. Okay. Shouts out. Shouts out. Final Round Brewing, thank you for the 5. Kuzmat, thank you for the 5. Also, Kai hit a $500,000. Yeah, I saw.
Legal team during his first impeachment trial.
They threw due process, fundamental fairness, and our Constitution out the window in the House proceedings. That's why we're here.
Bondi's nomination comes after her fellow Florida Republican Matt Gaetz bowed out, withdrawing his bid amid allegations he used drugs and paid young women for sex. Sources tell ABC that one of the women also testified to the House Ethics Committee that she saw Gaetz having sex with a 17-year-old girl. Gaetz denies all of the allegations. Gaetz is out, but there is renewed scrutiny on some of Trump's other nominees, especially Pete Hegseth, a Fox News weekend anchor and Army veteran, Trump's choice for defense secretary.
We welcome the opportunity to talk to any senator that wants to talk to us.
Hegseth has been meeting with Republican senators, making his case to be defense secretary. He now faces scrutiny over past allegations of sexual misconduct. Accused of sexually assaulting a woman in 2017, allegations he denies, saying it was consensual. In a recently released police report, a woman who met Hegseth at a conservative women's conference in 2017 told authorities he cornered her in a hotel room, took her phone, and blocked the door with his body, preventing her from leaving. She said he sexually assaulted her and that she remembered saying no a lot.
The matter was fully investigated.
I didn't know the body blocking move. That's crazy.
And I was completely cleared, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
But according to the report, the police recommended the case be forwarded to a local district attorney for review and possible prosecution. Although Hegseth was never charged with a crime. But his attorney says he later paid a settlement to the woman to keep her from going public with the allegations because he feared they would hurt his career as a television anchor. Several Republicans have expressed support for Hegseth's nomination, and one seemed to brush aside the allegations in the police report.
You can read the report yourself. If you read it, you can clearly see that it was two people flirting with each other. Well, that's one person's opinion.
Hegseth did not deny this when asked, by the way. Did you sexually assault a woman in Monterey, California? I have, as far as the media is concerned, it's very simple. The matter was fully investigated and I was completely cleared, and that's where I'm going to leave it. God damn, he almost fucking popped off and was like, yeah, that's right, I did that shit.
That wants to talk to us.
Did you sexually assault a woman in Monterey, California?
I have, as far as the media is concerned, I'll keep this very simple. The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
What do you think the point of specifically picking rapists is? There was always psycho picks who aren't rapists, but Trump always insists on the rapists. Is it just supposed to be a fuck you to women? I don't think it's a deliberate fuck you to women. I don't think this is like Me Too backlash or anything like that. I think because that's kind of how like people have been presenting it. I think it's just that these guys happen to be that way and also be massively loyal to Donald Trump, you know? Also, it's Donald Trump. Like he's Mr. Grabbing by the pussy. He's fucking the person who has at least like in a civil litigation been found guilty of sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like I don't think this is a thing he cares about, but I don't think it's in the forefront of his mind. Like mine's type beat, right? Doesn't want to have people around who will call him out. I don't think a lot of the other men in his cabinet are going to call him out for that sort of behavior anyway. Like I think this is not like intentional. Like he's not going at, I mean, I get why it comes across as like deliberate. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what the fuck? Every cabinet member has some kind of like sexual assault allegation. Like what the fuck's going on? You're like, this has got to be deliberate at this point. And it's like, I don't think it's deliberate. I think it's just like, that is just how Trump loyalists are, you know? Many of them in positions of power happen to have these sorts of incidents in their past. Does that make sense? Like in the state of Florida, if you want to be a legislator, you have to get a DUI. If you want to be a part of the Trump cabinet, like, you know, having some sexual assaults under your, you know, in your past certainly doesn't hurt and maybe even helps you, you know? It's more of a birds of a feather flock together type situation rather than like deliberately picking rapist people, like to put together the greatest rape squad of all time. Like that's not, I don't think that's what he's trying to do. I've been trying to get you to watch this history on that question topic. History of teacher on how authoritarians, fascists appoint members of their cabinet. What is this?
Political philosopher Hannah Arendt writes that fascists in power will, quote, invariably replace all first-rate talents with those crackpots and fools whose ignorance and lack of creativity is still a better guarantee of their loyalty, end quote. Fascism as an ideology might be easily understood as a sort of blind reactionary thinking, just this endless retaliation against real and imagined enemies, pursuing the end of the true people having absolute authority. But they do have to govern, and most of the acts of governing are boring, bureaucratic, paper-pushing tasks. Well, Arendt's quote in Origins of Totalitarianism is in reference to the problems baked into a fascist structure at the foundational level, at the hiring and firing of boring bureaucrats level. And what we mean by this is that loyalty
Bro, looks like he teaches the fuck out of AP US history. Yeah.
is the only real trait that is rewarded in a fascist system. Demonstrating instant obedience to orders and endless sycophancy to one's immediate supervisor.
Tom Piper, yo, it's the terrorist supporter. What's up, you clown chump ass dude defending his comrades / cousins? Please don't ban this guy. Mods. We got a new pet. Yo, what's up, dumbass? Yeah, I bet you love defending your cousins who are doing terrorism overseas, dog.
Is the fastest way to get a job, fastest way to get promoted. And the way will be clear for you as opponents of the regime lose their jobs.
Yeah, I do pipe them. Yeah, don't pussies. A bunker for you, pussy. Yeah. Hell yeah, dog. I do lay pipe. I fucked your mom and your dad.
Almost immediately after the regime takes power. What this means in practice is that potentially competent bureaucrats who are good at the paper-pushy, boring jobs are in constant competition with party ideologues who see it as some devoted...
Yes. Fascists obviously value loyalty above everything else because there is a lot of institutional control that they must enact. And the only way to get that agenda across is if you have these rabid sycophants, okay? You have to have rabid sycophants in positions of power. That's it.
Trump has named 4 nominees now to the Justice Department. All 4 of them have worked in some way as his personal lawyer. There's Pam Bondi. She represented Trump in his first impeachment trial. The number 2 and 3 positions nominees for those at the Justice Department worked to represent him in his criminal trial in New York. And the position of Solicitor General, that nominee argued the case for Trump before the Supreme Court on...
Yo, Yeah, where is Alina Hubba? Where is Alina Hubba, dude? That's our RGB gamer queen.
Presidential immunity. So all four, Michael, have worked as Trump's personal lawyers. Now he wants them to work over at the Justice Department.
Yeah, it seems like he has a lot of personal relationships with everyone he's have joining him. And John, we're still watching for more cabinet picks from the president-elect, including Treasury Secretary.
Yeah, Treasury's the last big one to come, and we expected a decision on this days ago. Trump has interviewed the finalists, there's four of them, several times. I am told that there is a major disagreement that has broken out among the transition over who they think Trump should pick. It's been described by one Trump advisor as a knife fight, but of course, Michael, ultimately this decision will be one person and one person's to make alone, and that's Donald Trump.
Or we want to start with that breaking news. President-elect Donald Trump's sentencing for his May.
Oh, the hush money case sentencing delayed for the third time is the guilty verdict. All of the American instruments of justice are caving and capitulating to the Trump fascist dictatorship. It's great. It's fantastic. America is in the shitter. America is in the toilet. Democrats once again lost the race to a guy and a party that does not care about institutions whatsoever. And they lost it in the funniest way possible by saying, but we care about the institutions when these guys don't. And it's like, yeah, well, good luck with those institutions. All right. Have fun with that. They're gone. They're done.
A criminal conviction has once again been delayed. Now, this is the third time sentencing has been pushed back since Donald Trump was found guilty for his role in a cover-up of a hush money payment. CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi joining us now for more on this. What do you make of this decision by this judge, Caroline? This is the third time they've made this decision to delay it.
That's right, Liz. I think we all sort of saw the writing on the wall. It's just now that we know definitively that the sentence will be adjourned. What's happening now is really what both parties had agreed to. Remember, we heard from Alvin Bragg's office last week, really previewing that the Trump team was wanting to put forward this motion to dismiss, acknowledging that there are serious considerations to take into account now that Trump is president-elect, while also balancing this idea that he has been convicted of 34 felony counts. They noted that they would oppose this motion to dismiss, but that they were willing to put the sentencing on hold for the interest of justice. We got a lot more ahead before we can get to sentencing. Two motions. One, the Judge Merchan will need to decide on this. The most recent motion to dismiss, the Trump team has until December 2nd to file that. Alvin Bragg's office will respond by December 9th. And then we have Merchan needing to decide Supreme Court immunity issue that Trump's team put forth, saying this entire thing needs to be tossed out. So we have to get those two issues off the table before we can even think about going to sentencing.
How does the judge's decision today to delay this indefinitely, does that impact Trump's other legal cases?
No, not at all. Look, the issue in the motion to dismiss here has to do with constitutional principles having to do with separation of powers and issues in the Constitution, really idea of sort of a unitary executive that the president, and they're saying the president-elect now, should not have to face criminal prosecution while in office or in this pre-election period. Now, that's the issue that Jack Smith in the federal cases is grappling with right now, and why, in fact, he's winding down those federal cases. They're going to go away, basically, because we do have these principles that the Office of Legal Counsel has said a sitting president can't be prosecuted federally. And then that Georgia case has been sort of, in the background there for a while. The appeals court in Georgia just took that calendar date off the schedule. There are issues with that prosecution as well. So we're seeing really all of these prosecutions floundering.
Donald Trump takes the oath of office on January 20th. How likely do you think that this particular case is going to get thrown out?
Oh, thrown out, that I don't know. There are a lot of issues, and trust me, Trump will appeal these issues until the end. He's not going to sort of take this lightly. He has another appellate issue wanting to remove this case to federal court. I suspect he would not want to move forward with any sentencing. He will make many arguments to say why they shouldn't move forward with sentencing prior to the election, to him being sworn in. It could take place prior, and then they could hold it in abeyance essentially throughout those 4 years for him to serve it thereafter. But there are issues with that as well. So I think, we're likely to see a lot more litigation about this case play out prior to January 20th.
Does anything change once President-elect Trump officially becomes president? I mean, I think a lot of people are curious. Is it possible he could pardon himself? Is that even possible with this case?
It's not possible for this case. It is possible for the federal cases, but that won't be necessary because we know that Jack Smith is winding those down. Likely he will want to have those dismissed without prejudice prior to Trump taking office. But no, he cannot.
How many dummies out there think Republicans would drop charges ahead of a Democrat coming in? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That would never fucking happen in a million years. And, Republicans will literally point to all of the quote unquote lawfare that happened under the Biden regime to enact whatever their political agenda is and purposefully continue going after the Democrats even harder. As the Democrats fucking literally, as the Democrats just, kiss the ring and say, yes, sir, please, sir. May I have some more punishment, sir? Okay. Hasanabi Dread, thank you for the 5 community gift to subs. So it ain't happening. Hello, echo chamber. Doesn't this imply that this is not an echo chamber if you're in here? We have more weirdos in the chat today. What's going on? Did something new happen that I'm unaware of? Fox News Plus Friday. Dan Saltman was perma-banned. Yeah, but that was yesterday. Also, he doesn't have motion like that. I think it's a slow news day for drama pervs because a lot of streamers are playing classic WoW. Oh, is Ethan and Lonerbox posting more Islamophobic slop? Whoa. XQC made a video on you. Just here to see what nonsense you come up with today. Yeah, nonsense like the International Criminal Court is finally applying the letter of the law to war criminals like Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. What a nonsensical position from me. QC made a video on you. This is funny. I'm sure he had fantastic opinions. Very well. Be nice. They finally finished reading the Fox article. Yeah. Pomey21, thank you for the 50 gifted subs and another 10 before that. You should play this video. What is this? Cry harder. You fucking Nazi. Cry harder. You fucking Nazi piece of shit. Here, I got another one for you. Oh, suck my fucking Turkish cock, bitch. Imagine a world where X the Hasanabi head. Yeah. Gates not joining next Congress. Yeah, I think he's worried about the if he joins the next Congress. I think that they would have to reveal the investigation that was conducted by the House Ethics Committee, and maybe he won't do it. I thought he'd be shameless enough to do it, but aren't you and XQC still friends? No. The fuck? I haven't talked to him in a long ass time. Anyway, Matt Gaetz, he's not returning to Congress next year. He might look for a different position that does not involve him being on the House. I'm still going to be in the fight, but it's going to be from a new purge. I do not intend to join the 119th Congress, he told Charlie Kirk in an interview. Damn. That's sad, man. Hey, out of curiosity, do you ever talk about what Lefty should be doing, i.e. next steps and stuff? I'm all here for the political commentary, but I think we really need to figure some shit out or we're fucking cooked. Yes, I do it all the time. He'll probably go, maybe he'll go the podcast route, or maybe he'll go for a governor position or something. I don't know. But that is going to carry that stink of pedophilia is going to continue following him everywhere he goes. You know what I mean? So. And now he's on Cameo. Nice. He can join Kick. He'd fit right in. Oh, yeah.
Elon Musk.
Oh, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. The girlies are fighting. Let's take a look.
Meantime, tonight is in a battle over Trump with Jeff Bezos. Two of the world's richest men are now.
Okay, listen. One is my boss, okay? Kind of crazy that those are two options, podcast host or governor. Yeah.
Publicly feuding for Trump's favor. Musk posting on X, quote, I just learned tonight at Mar-a-Lago that Jeff Bezos was telling everyone that real Donald Trump would lose for sure, so they should sell all their Tesla and SpaceX stock. Bezos responding with, Nope, 100% not true. Musk fired back, well, then I stand corrected, following by a crying emoji, an ROFL, rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Musk has been seen with Trump almost daily, of course, since Trump was elected. And joining me now is tech journalist Kara Swisher. She hosts a multitude of podcasts, has covered Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos closely for years. Yeah. It is safe to say you know more about both of them than anyone.
I guess technically Jeff Bezos is no longer my boss, even though, you know, he's still the founder of Amazon, and I'm still on Twitch, which is an Amazon platform, even though I don't have a contract, and that's why I don't serve. 17 is not pedophilia. That's amazing. Amazing. Dude, this is the most dangerous aspect, I think, of the likes of Matt Gaetz and like the debate pedophiles out there who hit the actually it's not pedophilia, it's a phebophilia. Okay, dude. You know all you were saying when you say that is just you think this kind of statutory rape is actually appropriate, right? Like what you are defending, 8-year-old is wrong, but 17, come on. What you are defending is quite literally the statement that you're saying right now is, you know, you wouldn't fuck an 8-year-old, but you would definitely fuck a 17-year-old. Okay? Get out of your bubble. Why are you publicly admitting this? Why are you voluntarily revealing this about yourself, chatter? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you saying there are some minors that you would fuck? That is weird. What is wrong with you, Boquito? What? You think something is wrong with me? This is what I mean when I say this kind of echo chamber online has created some of the grossest fucking freaks where people are just voluntarily revealing that they are pedophiles, okay? What the hell is going on? I kind of think the most 17 look like young adults. Come on. Brother, you are not winning me over. Boquito is gorilla, by the way. I didn't know that, but I don't want to know that. Okay, I'm banning this person. 2016 with 2008 characteristics, but they're going to start saying the term jailbait again? Yeah. I'm telling you right now, dude. I mean, is there something inherently wrong about pointing out that that's not the actual word for it, aside from who's saying it? No, dude. It is creating a permission structure. Of course it's fucking unacceptable, okay? You want to fuck minors in that situation. You are defending a boundary where there are some minors that are fuckable is what you're saying. That's insane. Okay? That's completely unacceptable. What the fuck?
Did you guys read about Matt Gaetz? So Trump said he's going to appoint Matt Gaetz his attorney general. And, a lot of people have pointed out that.
Wait, you found him on Reddit? You just found your sibling while scrolling through Pornhub. What is your first course of action? Nice one. Ugh.
That Matt Gaetz is a pedophile. And here's the thing. Technically speaking, Matt Gaetz is not a pedophile. And just hear me out for 1 second. The term pedophile refers to people who are attracted to those that are prepubescent. Then there's something called a hebophile. That's people who are attracted to those in the early stages of puberty, like 11, 12, 13, 14. And then there's something called an ephebophile. That's people who are attracted to those that are in the later stages of puberty, like 15, 16, 17, 18. But I think the reason we don't make those distinctions is because it's very hard to explain the difference without sounding like a pedophile.
That dude stole that bit, I'm pretty sure. I mean, this is a classic. It's not even a bit. It's something that I've talked about quite a bit as well. When you try to make this like semantics distinction between ephebophile and pedophile, okay, you are literally saying, no, you don't understand. There are some minors that you would fuck, okay? And that's insane. It is a repugnant position. And the reality of the matter is that people are feeling a lot more comfortable doing that. And it's gross. Don't call it a position. No, it is. It is becoming a position. There are genuinely people. No, that's his own bit. He repurposed it for Gaetz. I mean, it's also a classic. It's a classic idiotic thing, okay? He's not the first. I mean, I've said it as well. I've said something similar to that multiple times as well. Very famously. I don't think he stole it, is what I was trying to say. Okay? Yeah, John Marco is great. He's also very pro-Palestine. He's a great comedian. Anyway, it just doesn't make any sense. But I do find it really, I know, guys, I know he wants me to be on the pod, okay? You guys don't have to literally immediately spam the same fucking shit over and over again when I mention a person on the broadcast, okay? I know. He's funny. He's great. I might do his podcast if I have the time. Everybody needs to calm the fuck down, okay? Goddamn. Manager mode immediately. Finally, you're coming around and involuntarily also appealing to Gen Z's importance on the problematic age gap. No, there is a difference here, okay? What the fuck are you talking about? Have you talked about the gym rat in Gaza? Maybe cool to have him on stream. Yeah, I have seen the gym in Gaza. Guys, everyone that's trying to reach out to me, you don't have to make me aware of while I'm doing political commentary on the broadcast, okay? Please. Can we please just stop micromanaging me? Is that okay? Calm down. Now, the thing I want to get back to in this story with the actually it's a phebophilia is that I think people, there was like a, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like there was a period where people were at least like somewhat embarrassed to argue that position. Or maybe I was just echo chambered into a specific part of the internet where like that kind of sentiment being expressed immediately got backlash. Understandable. Okay. And I don't know. I don't know if that was the case, but like, I mean, this also does correspond to my consistent anti-pedophilia position that has seemingly created a you know, injustice league of like the grossest freaks that constantly find themselves in trouble for doing that sort of thing. You know, all my ops are pedophiles is just like a resilient and very consistent take. I don't know. There are some clips coming out now from D debating that position a long time ago with some wild personal comments. Yeah. Whoa. This is a very extremist take. Yeah, I know. I am. I have always been and always will be anti-pedophilia. And I don't know how this has happened. You're not wrong, but your stance about controlling language in order to politicize speech, which makes things kind of difficult to discern, even in the process of fighting for the same part of the cause. What? Dude, I'm sorry. Every single one of your favorite content creators are never going to actually see any material harm or impact in the same way that I am relentlessly fucking hounded by actual instruments that have institutional legitimacy, okay, for this, just so you know. And this has been a consistent, throughout my entire fucking career. The notion that like I am trying to control language and politicize speech because I don't think that hate speech is appropriate is so fucking stupid, okay? There is not a single state in this nation where there is like real criminal punishments for being a fucking Nazi, okay? However, it is codified in 32 plus states in the United States of America where there's a different version of this law, basically, that AIPAC pushed, where you cannot legally protest against the state of Israel and retain a job, okay? People coming here and constantly saying like, Hassan, free speech, blah, 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 all this shit. Don't understand that like the real existing threats to free speech at the legislative level are only done towards members of the left or people who are anti-Israel, okay? People do not give a fuck about anti-Semites, those who are a part of our Congress do not give a fuck about anti-Semitism. They only care about being anti-Israel. Daily Wire does not give a fuck about anti-Semitism. They hired Candace Owens knowing full well that she was anti-Semitic. They fired her when she was both anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. Okay? That's it. That is the true unacceptable position. Anyway, what is this? Under 18 is rape, plain and simple legal definition, but if a man sees a woman and becomes sexually aroused, that is human nature. 17-year-olds can look exactly like an 18-year-old. What is happening, dude? What's up? You want the phone? Here you go, brother. Why are chatters doing this? It was a capital offense to be sexually aroused is not immoral. Yo, guys. What the fuck is happening here? What is happening in this chat? Why are people saying some of the most unhinged shit? Are you trying to get me to read out your like ridiculous comments so that I can so that I get, clipped out of context or something? What the fuck's happening right now? Maybe I'm misunderstood here. It's not just on the specific instance about pedophilia, and I'm not arguing against. I'm not necessarily saying we should start to use hebephile or how it's written. I'm just trying to expand on the context of why people might be triggered about it. Dude, there is no reason to engage in this battle, okay? Especially because the underlying sentiment is you're saying some minors are more fuckable than others, okay? That is insane. There is no reason to be Mr. Logic on this issue. Do you not understand that? I think that's a pretty fucking specific, that's a, pretty reasonable take for me. They just want to make sure this place isn't an echo chamber. No, we can be an echo chamber. We can be an anti-pedophilia echo chamber, I think. That's like someone telling you it's not murder, it's manslaughter, and you calling them a murderer for it arguing semantics doesn't make you a pedophile. Wait, what? Dude, brother. I don't think people are trying to normalize manslaughter when they're talking about the legal distinctions, okay? Please understand. What is happening? Why is this such a major fucking issue? Arguing semantics makes you a nerd, not a pedophile. Just because there's a different word for the different age groups doesn't mean it's saying you want to fuck those age groups. No, the underlying sentiment behind saying actually it's a phebophile, one, it's most commonly held by people who do want to fuck minors, libertarians, and two, is literally saying, no, there is a type of minor that is more fuckable than the rest. That's all you're saying. That's the reason why you're hyper focusing on this distinction, and you're doing it to a community that just doesn't make that distinction at all. What is going on? Debate perverts can't help themselves with this topic. Yeah, this is why I fucking despise the toxicity that comes along with a community that loves debating, because I think that a community that loves debating, it will inevitably always arrive at like these sorts of idiotic distinctions where they're like being hyper specific and being semantics nerds. Okay, that distinction only matters when you're making a psychological assessment. Okay, that's it. That distinction has no basis here, and that distinction is only potentially important when, I don't know, issuing a criminal punishment. Okay, I don't like this. What is this? I think it's nice that they didn't just call me crazy and dismiss me outright. I don't think we'll disagree on much, if anything, on Palestine, despite what you've seen on Twitter. 3, I agree we should be able to talk. It seems like we have a lot to discuss. I'm definitely interested in demystifying whatever concept you have of me being a right-wing Palestinian hater. My gripe with the activists is their nonstop propaganda campaign to ruin anyone that doesn't pass their purity test, despite agreeing on 95% of things. Brother, this is the most like self-unaware take of all time. If we agree on 95% of things, then why the fuck have you spent the last month trying to get me and other prominent anti-Palestinian people deplatformed, including but not limited to literally calling Twitch a anti-Semitic neo-Nazi platform that deserves its own adpocalypse? Yeah, calling pro-Palestinian content creators who you know are not anti-Semitic terrorists who love doing terrorism propaganda is not exactly, I mean, it's not anyone else's fault at this point for making this assertion. Okay? Like, of course people are going to be like, okay, well, most of your output revolves around going after prominent pro-Palestinian content creators. So yeah, of course people are going to make that assessment. Inevitably, they're going to be like, okay, well, it kind of seems you misspoke and said anti-Palestinian. Oh, my bad. But I just realized that people who are clip chimping you are literally sub to you while hate watching. Yeah, that's why I made it so that you have to subscribe to clip. Like, the reality of the matter is, if you don't want people to think of you as like someone who is anti-Palestinian, then, focus your efforts on more productive battles. Okay?
More specifically, I think that's a great point.
But like, should we go on it?
And more specifically,
it's kind of funny also because like the Try Guys were like, we work with the Try Guys doing the Palestinian charity, and I have not talked to them since, but I assume that they arrived at these conclusions by literally looking at Ethan's output. Okay? And if your output is basically saying that, like, one, guys like myself are gatekeeping genocide, okay? And two, the past month is literally just, you know, an endless battle of trying to deplatform someone who is very clearly pro-Palestine and also not anti-Semitic, then yeah, of course people are going to arrive at these conclusions. Like, I haven't talked to these guys. I haven't like poisoned the well or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's so crazy and so goddamn self-centered to just like center this fucking genocide around your own personal feelings, man. You can try to moralize it by saying, no, I'm actually engaging in a conquest of anti-Semitism rising. And there is truth to anti-Semitism rising, of course. But like your output doesn't reflect that reality when most of your fucking markers and most of your targets are not anti-Semitic and you're literally claiming that they are. That's the problem. And people, and I don't know why. I don't know why he just like doesn't understand that, you know, your output is the reason why fucking people think you're crashing out and going crazy. Exactly. Do people normally endlessly harass people that 95% agree with? Do they team up with Nazi defenders and actual anti-Semites because they're upset? Yeah, exactly.
With Ethan, he is someone who, we're both Jewish guys. We have different views about Israel and Palestine. He has said some really wildly hateful things about Palestinian supporters. And so I have a disagreement with him in views. And I think that's a conversation we could have, even though he comes at it from a place of wild diatribes. But then, yeah, there's that question to audiences. Is it by even going on their platform or by platforming them, are you validating? Yeah. And now you're shutting yourself away from those spaces. But if you shut yourself away from those spaces, then you're not able to talk to other people. I don't know the answer.
I don't know.
Here.
I think this is a very interesting conversation.
But this is exactly like Kamala doesn't go on Joe Rogan.
No, it is.
And by the way, it's exactly like that.
It's at least as close as we can get.
But it is, I think.
It's interesting how you say the same thing, but you say it as a brown person, so you're a terrorist. No, like no. There are definitely differences in opinion between me and maybe even other people who are, you know, pro-Palestine. Everyone has a different method, okay? But like for me, the only people that I have no charitability for are people who have demonstrated truly, openly anti-Semitic tendencies, okay? If you are the type of person that starts talking about the Talmud or if you are the type of person that literally pairs Israel with Judaism and Jews, okay, and then says like, yeah, Israel's doing a genocide because, you know, that's just how Jews are, then yeah, I'm done. I'm done with you, okay? That's it. And it's ironic that I'm consistent on this, okay? Whether you are doing this in defense of Israel or whether you are doing this because you are an anti-Semite who wants to pair themselves up with anti-Zionist sentiments, I don't want anything to do with you. And that's the difference, okay? That's why I've routinely shit on Jake Shields and Dan Bilzerian and the like. Like, I've done that. And it's incredibly fucking frustrating to constantly have this back and forth, to constantly have this conversation over and over and over again, okay? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, he literally said I was, you know, going after low-hanging fruit because I shit on Myron from Fresh and Fit. That like the real anti-Semitism that I have to actually reckon with is my own personal community or something. And that's because members of my community that happen to be crossover fans of his, former fans of his, don't like the way that he has communicated throughout this goddamn genocide. That's it. And I tried to communicate this to him early on. I was like, look, dude, if you sound like Joe Biden or if you sound like Ben Shapiro, okay, then yeah, people are going to fucking think that you are like Joe Biden, Ben Shapiro, or Steven Crowder. If your output in defense of why, I don't know, Israelis don't see eye to eye on this issue is because you were like, no, you don't understand. 90% of Jews are Zionists. 90% of Jews are Zionists, and that also simultaneously there will never be peace in the region, and there cannot be a one-state solution, and that Jewish Voice for Peace are capos, and then you make fun of Aaron Bushnell and all of this stuff. Like, yeah, of course, people that don't pay attention to anything else are gonna see that and not give a fuck about what you have said formerly about Israel and Palestine. That's it. At a certain point, it comes across like, you know, you don't really care about the actual significant conversations that need to be taking place, the actual significance of this genocide. Like he literally, yeah, I mean, it is also incredibly narcissistic. That is the other part of this conversation. It's incredibly narcissistic that he thinks that the only reason why I'm calling out blatant Nazi rhetoric was to appease him, as though it's something that I secretly agree with. Like, what is the fucking implication? There's never been a moment where I've given charity to Fresh and Fit, okay? And that's before I even found out about their like Holocaust denial and anti-Semitism. There was a shit ton of things that we don't agree on, we don't see eye to eye on, okay? Anti-Semitism being yet another very glaringly obvious reason as to why we don't see the world in a similar fashion. And that's what's so fucking annoying about it. It's like, here, I'll give you a good example of this, okay? Myron is constantly in my fucking, in my replies being like, see, this is how the Jews are. They'll never accept you. That's why they'll never accept you. Because he also thinks I'm anti-Semitic secretly. He's a fucking idiot, okay? And I don't know how to communicate this to people. It's like, no, dude, we're not fucking allies, okay? We're not. I don't agree with you. I don't think that Israel's actions have anything to do with fucking Judaism at all, okay? It just doesn't. And people don't understand that. They like anti-Semitic people who present themselves as anti-Israel genuinely think that other people are also anti-Semitic just like they are, okay? And that they're secretly hiding their anti-Semitic tendencies because they're afraid of the media coming after them, okay? Like, it's so fucking stupid. Oh, he's like constantly, he's constantly in my fucking replies on Twitter being like, see, they're never going to stop coming after you. You should align with me. It's like, no, dumbass. I don't align with you because I don't agree with you. Like, in the simplest terms, I do not agree with you. Okay? I don't think it is truthful. Okay? I don't think it's truthful. I long for the day you don't have to address this bullshit every single stream. It sounds exhausting to say the least. I know. So fucking annoying. But I'm glad that he has some level of charitability for the Try Guys. Maybe they can actually get it across to Ethan that, like, consistently fucking making your output around Israel's genocide of Palestinians your own personal feelings because, like, 3 upvoted Reddit posts are hurting your fucking feelings. And then pairing that up with like real anti-Semitism rising as though you're on a moral crusade by putting the crosshairs on people who are not anti-Semitic that you are falsely smearing as anti-Semitic is obviously going to make people think that you're doing this to deliberately defend Israel and change the dynamic in the conversation. I understand that a big part of that is just pure narcissism, okay? I do. Narcissism, not knowing anything about the history of Israel and just like probably mainlining fucking pro-Israeli propaganda on a regular basis will change your attitude quite a bit. Anyway, holy fuck. Yeah, I don't want to align with actual anti-Semites, but he has no issue aligning with Islamophobes like D-Man or all the right-wing drama YouTubers who also have literally said a shit ton of anti-Semitic things too. It is ridiculous. Anyway, tying that back to, like, you know, real world news. Senators who voted to approve arms sales to Israel this week, who took over 3 times more money from pro-Israel donors than those who voted to block the sales. Nice political system we got here. Senators who approved arms sales to Israel got 3x more cash from pro-Israel donors. Median dollar accepted from pro-Israel donors in the 2024 election cycle. Just call him, go to his house, have a convo. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Take a week off. I'm not going to go to his house, you dumbass. My views on this stuff, for the record, have not changed at all. And Ethan knows my views on this because we've both privately and publicly conversed on this issue. So if you want to know what it would look like to have a conversation with Ethan, go back and watch the videos where I did have a conversation with Ethan on this exact issue. Okay? They exist. It's out there. Senators who approve weapon sales to Israel, 198,000 median dollar accepted from pro-Israel donors. Senators who voted to block weapon sales to Israel, 64,000. I like that they're, you know, both sides still got some, though. It's just like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, let's get back to Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos sparring over Trump.
What is behind this feud that's going on between the two of them?
Do you see what CNN said about you? What does CNN say about me? Is there a new article or something? It's coming out. The Donny O'Sullivan piece is going to come out next week, next Tuesday, I believe.
Don't like each other. They never have. You know, this is sort of the great fight in tech before this happened. They're both in space. And so that's where it started, was this competition between SpaceX and Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. And so they've always sort of, tweaked back and forth of who the visionary is post Steve Jobs.
Right.
Let me just tell you, neither one of them. But they've been always trying to sort of vie for that. And mostly Jeff's been quiet, actually, comparatively. And Elon's a nonstop talker, obviously, can't stop saying something.
Right.
And, I think this is unusual that Jeff responded, but he did, because they just don't like each other.
Right. I mean, it's the person. You just can't.
Well, not just that, they compete. Jeff wants to really get some of these contracts, these space contracts. Elon obviously wants to dominate here and does.
Right. And he's the one sitting next to Trump on every single time, right?
Correct.
So what is Elon, what do you think Elon is after with Trump right now? He's
power. He wants contracts. Mm-hmm. He wants to have an input into things. He thinks he knows better. He does think, at one point when I was interviewing him once, when Tesla was in trouble a little bit, and he said, if Tesla doesn't survive, humanity dies. That's literally what he said to me.
And he believes that.
I thought he did. I thought it was bizarre, but it was true. And so I really think he thinks he's here. Some people think he's like a video game player and he's Ready Player One. Not Trump, by the way, him. And so he really thinks he's contributing by being part of this.
So can I ask, there's a couple things I want to ask you in the context of what he's going to do in the administration. Who knows how long it's going to last? Who knows what he's going to do? But he said that he's going to be running the DOGE, which, of course, has the same acronym as his crypto, and the Department of Government Efficiency. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and Elon Musk. Did you ever think that would be a pair? But apparently it's going to be a pair, because Fox is reporting that she was just selected, Kara, to lead a House subcommittee that's going to work with
delivering.
Right, it's going to be the Congress part that's going to work with DOGE, which means working with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay, you know Elon Musk pretty well. How does that relationship pan out? Elon Musk and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I have no idea. Both are very canny people. Let me tell you, Marjorie Taylor Greene, whatever you think of her, is a very canny person. And so I don't know. I think they're both, I don't know how they're going to vie for attention and elbow each other out of the way of the cameras. That's one issue they both have. They love being in the center of attention. I think the problem is, can they really pass this? Or is this a lot of jazz hands and arm waving? And we'll see if they're able to do so.
So, you know what I find interesting on that? A lot of people have a lot of admiration.
I like that the billionaires are duking it out on the timeline on who can suck Trump harder for those juicy contracts and juicy federal subsidies. It's great. What a profoundly successful political project we have. Okay? What an incredible political project we have. Okay? It's great. We're certainly a functioning democracy. No health care for you, okay? Nope, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Ain't no way.
Admiration for Elon Musk and things.
Sure,
and a lot of people look at the government
that are admirable,
right? And they look at the government and they say, okay. And I know people are, putting out messages on social media about hamster projects and or whatever. Okay. And then big ones like Medicare fraud. Right. And Elon Musk wanting to go out and use AI or whatever it is to identify and fix that is something a lot of people can get behind. But then he talks about getting rid of entire government agencies and coming in and saying everybody, essentially, you could get rid of a lot of the federal government. Ro Khanna said the other day, I think Elon's going to get frustrated fairly quickly.
Relatively quickly. The government's a big thing. It's not a company. Elon goes into these companies and he kicks trash cans and yells at everybody. That's, by the way, his style. And he doesn't
literally
run them.
Doing that.
Yes. He doesn't run everything so well. I was talking to Neuralink people, and they're like, we can't wait till he leaves because he's
the
so
brain
disruptive.
implant that's going to go.
Mm-hmm. But he's great at being an entrepreneur and creating things. And one of the things he does well is disrupt and break. So he crashed, 90 rockets before he got the right one. NASA can't do that. Mm-hmm. Government can't do that. Government can't crash because it's not the same thing as running a company by fiat, which he does. And he does very well in a very aggressive way. And that's fine, but it doesn't work when it comes to government. You're always going to find the $600 toilet or the wrench that cost $1,000 that government has. That's a different issue. And I think just going in and cutting them, and that's his way, doesn't work in the public sector quite the same way it works in the private sector. Like this return to work thing is...
When he's saying, right, federal government,
have to come in.
Oh, God, I hate this. Okay.
We went from war to...
Joe Rogan hits back after criticism from The View, Dragon Believer. Okay, let's get to some real fucking news. Jesus Christ. No wonder people don't want to watch liberal media, man. This just sucks. I mean, everything sucks for the most part. And the coverage is Not great. Okay. Elon and Trump are definitely doing it together. You think they're having gay sex?
Basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, like, I guess, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Rogan really leaning into this one by changing his ex-bio to, quote, dragon believer. Joe Concha is a Fox News contributor, and he joins us now. Joe, this is so up Joe Rogan's alley in terms of what he finds funny. To, first of all, be called a dragon believer. And also to be accused of being an unreliable source of information by the ladies of The View. So what is your reaction to all of this?
Oh, yes, Carly. We should absolutely trust The View and not the guy.
I mean, okay, you guys want to understand something? This is the reason why Fox News' ratings are infinitely better than the liberal media ratings. Okay? Here's why. Because they're both talking about nonsense. Okay? But at least this is entertaining nonsense. Do you see what I mean? Like, the nonsense that we just watched on CNN is like the minor differences between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and how we should take these guys seriously, and how they're going to, I don't know, possibly improve the federal government or maybe ruin it. Whereas these guys are just like, Joe Rogan, look at these dumbasses who say Joe Rogan believes in dragons. He only believes in dragons a little bit.
Guy who revolutionized the world with electric cars, SpaceX. I could go on with the accomplishments of Elon Musk. I have a question. Do stupid people get to a point in life where they realize that they're, stupid? Because this is what panic sounds like in legacy media. I've said this before in this program. It's worth repeating again because it's so disturbing. The View is under the ABC News umbrella. ABC News is run by a woman named Dana Walden. Dana Walden is Kamala Harris's very best friend. They lived right near each other in Brentwood, California when she was a senator there. Dana Walden set up Kamala Harris on a blind date with Doug Emhoff, who she obviously is now married to. And now this is what the result is of Dana Walden running ABC News. You have people like Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg under the ABC News umbrella losing their mind.
I need to know. I need to actually dive deeper into this Joe Rogan dragon shit. We're in hell. We might as well enjoy it. Does anybody have the clip? Where did this Joe Rogan dragon stuff come from? Where is it coming from? Yahoo.com is the only article that's readily available for this important piece of news. Joe Rogan ups the ante with his View feud with evidence that dragons existed. That's not a sentence that makes much of... Joe Rogan is doubling down on his... Okay, this is from his podcast. Okay, let's start here first.
So
were dragons real animals?
You like these kind of far out there ideas. How do you like this idea? There's a group of people that say that dragons were real. And I'll explain. So around the same time period, so to speak, and I'm not one of these people, so I'm probably going to get the details wrong
like
a little bit.
Matthew McConaughey movie right now.
Yeah, seriously. But so around the same time period in, China.
I think he's trolling, right? Evidence dragons were real, full documentary. Like, I don't think he actually thinks dragons are real.
South America, Africa, all these different, Rome, all these places, images depicted people fighting dragons, right? And every dragon was slightly different, but it was all a giant, scaly animal that could fly. So when you break that down, you think about the fact that large birds had a hard time being fossilized because their bones are so porous, right? So because they have like hollowish bones, they break down very easily and they don't fossilize.
Wait, this clip is literally from fucking 2019. I was gonna say Joe Rogan talking about like whether or not dragons are real or not doesn't seem like new Joe Rogan. It seems like good Joe Rogan, old Joe Rogan, which is why I was a little confused. And when you scroll down, you realize, oh no, this is like, it's not the best Joe Rogan, because the best Joe Rogan is like 2016 era, I think, before Milo Yiannopoulos. Pre-Milo Joe Rogan, like white supremacists are always going to be able to, white supremacists always have an opportunity to come and speak to millions of people on my podcast, Joe Rogan. But this is definitely an older version of Joe Rogan. That was still kind of, fun.
So the group that says this basically they're saying the evidence is the reason there's no fossils of dragons is because they had bird bones and they were actually very delicate animals. But a handful of these small population of these giant flying lizards existed and basically encompassed all these different countries where they all depicted fighting dragons in their own way, and they were all killed off by, knights or whatever it is, and then did.
Yeah, I mean, the person who's describing to the dragon stuff is also not a believer or a committed believer to the dragon theory. What is this? Do you think he'll ever acknowledge you? How hard would you have to insult him? No. Joe Rogan will never acknowledge me because I have insulted him far too much. But I think this is like this is the exact type of conversation Joe Rogan used to have that wasn't like damaging or dangerous at all. It was just like fun conspiracies that we all like to entertain. Okay? Every now and then. I've done it too. I've done the Mud Fossil University shit. I've like sarcastically aligned myself with this notion, if you recall. Like, this isn't, I think this type of shit is fun and totally acceptable. Like, oh yeah, maybe dragons were real versus there's a cabal of pedophilic Jews that control the media and are also simultaneously, beaming pornography into your brains and also doing unlimited amounts of third world immigration into the country. Okay? Like, that is not so fun. That type of conspiratorial thinking is fascist and not good. And I feel like we moved on from the haha funny, cute, who knows, maybe dragons did exist. Imagine a world where they did type of conspiracy theories to the second type.
Didn't fossilize.
What?
So it's like the science is saying that if there were lizards big enough to fly around and eat people, they didn't have bones that could fossilize.
So it'd be like an eagle.
Right. And that's why all these human populations around the world have depictions of them, because they did actually exist.
Now, are there any stories of dragons like written like in the times of people that they actually had the written word, or is it just depictions?
I don't know. Not my field.
That would be interesting because like are these depictions like ancient accounts told by generation after generation, like passed down?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know anything about dragons or whether it's real, but I think it's interesting to think, oh, well, the science supports that if there were flying lizards, their bones wouldn't have fossilized, and these have been passed down, stories that have...
So what about like pterodactyls? Like what? How the fuck do they exist then? What? They did. There were flying... Wait, why is that different? Those are flying reptiles? Bro, he just said flying lizards. How is that any different? I mean, he's not even arguing for this. He's not arguing for this position. He very clearly said he doesn't believe this, but he thinks it's like a fun, cool conspiracy. Also, what's hilarious about this is that like the current existing birds are the closest, I think, genetically to dinosaurs. So I don't really understand where we're going with that one. You're out of your depth on this, bro. Yeah. Relevant Peterson clip trying to convince Dawkins on the biological. Oh, yeah. So Alex O'Connor, I saw a bunch of clips from this. And well, first of all, this is a let them fight situation because I don't like Richard Dawkins. And I like Jordan Peterson even less. But on this issue, like I am offering critical support to Richard Dawkins, even though he is the most annoying type of like r/Reddit atheist who has even in recent years said he's culturally Christian. Okay. Cook, not going to lie. Joy Behar says Joe Rogan believes in dragons and that's why he's not reliable, whereas The View is very reliable. They thought Biden was young and dynamic, had no problems. Okay, he did cook. I mean, he did cook on this. He's absolutely correct on this. Dinosaurs are also reptiles, Hasanabi. Pteranodons are another kind of reptile completely different from dinosaurs and not dinos. I'm an unemployed paleontologist. Please, this is the only thing I'm good for. This is semantics, but birds aren't just the closest thing to dinosaurs we have. They literally are dinosaurs. They're the dinosaurs that survived. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Adam King Show, why couldn't you speak prior to the election results? Why now do you defend what you clearly felt for a long time? This right here is the perfect demonstration of how right-wing mania works, by the way. Shaky Gurga, Chunk Weigert, okay, my uncle, was a very prominent critic of Joe Biden. Okay, myself and Cenk and many other commentators on the leftist sphere to the liberal sphere in independent media routinely yelled about Joe Biden being 800 years old. But this guy is fantasizing about a position that Cenk never actually held. Now, all evidence points to the exact contrary of this. And yet that hasn't stopped 700 people from liking this because nobody fucking cares about the truth. He literally ran for office so that he could get others to realize that Joe Biden is too old and maybe give them the courage to run within the Democratic Party, knowing full well that it was a, constitutional battle that he would not win anyway because he's not born in the United States. I said Biden was too old. I started a petition to get him out of the race 14 months ago and even ran against him in the primary. I'm pretty sure I did all I could. Yeah. And that's what's crazy. These people do not care. Like, people are doubling down. What primary? Are we pretending we had one now? This might be the biggest own I've ever seen for those in election cope. Wait, everyone's favorite Hebrew, Jew haters beware, found at Infowars ban.video, DM for media inquiries. This guy's an Infowars guy? Oh, I hate this shit, man. I hate it so much. People are just like arguing against the truth and they don't give a fuck. Narrative is significantly more important than the truth, okay?
The dragon fight too.
Well, how many dragons have you overcome in your life?
I'm not interested in dragons. I'm interested in reality.
Okay, so I read a book a while back that described the biological reality of the dragon. Say, well, there's no such thing as a dragon. It's like, okay, is there such a thing as a predator?
Of course.
Well, that's a meta category. What's the category of predator? Bear, eagle, if you're a primate. Fire? Is fire a predator?
No.
Well, it's complicated because a fire kills you. So is there a worse predator than serpentine, flying, fire-breathing reptile? Is that not the imagistic equivalent of predator? If predator is real, in what way isn't dragon real?
So a dragon is a pictorial representation of the abstracted concept of a predator.
Yes.
But when you say the
Dude, this is such a funny... I'm sorry. God, the debate space is such a fucking joke, dude. It's like... This reads as a parody, and they are not parodying like the worst aspects of fucking debate culture. They are unironically engaging in this like hyper intellectualized, very sincere argument about whether or not Jordan Peterson literally believes dragons exist, or if he's actually simply saying that the dragon is a representation of the apex predator. Like, I just don't... Like, how can you sit down with Jordan Peterson and have a sincere conversation like this? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Biology of a dragon. You must understand how that can be misleading.
I don't think the category of dragon is any less valid than the category of lion.
Any less biological?
Well, it depends on your level of analysis.
I'm embarrassed to admit that I watched all of this and it's pretty much all the way through. Yeah, no, I saw clips of this and I thought it was really funny. I derive entertainment from this conversation that Alex Cooper presented, okay, but not in a way, not in the way that other people, I think, understood it. Okay. Oh, this is a direct combo that he had with Jordan B. Peterson. Hold on. Yahweh is acting like a tribal war god. God is a delusion. Oxford Union speech. Ben Shapiro versus Alex O'Connor. Is religion good for society? Debate theism versus. Oh God, this shit pops off, by the way. This shit bangs on TikTok, I think. And it certainly bangs on fucking YouTube as well. I don't know. It is so outside of my field of interest. I don't know how else to describe it. What is this? That's your problem. Dawkins versus Peterson. Okay, here, let's
Richard
look
asked you before about the difference between a story or an idea naturally evolving over the course of numerous manuscripts and throughout human history, and the idea of it being divinely inspired. And
you've never had a teenage existential crisis? You know this shit goes hard if you're stupid. I think this is like one step above like truly stupid guys. Okay? I think like this is a stupid guy who's at least on a journey to not be as stupid. But thinks instead of reading books, you watch this video and your takeaway is that you're smarter for it, if that makes sense. Alex O'Connor and Hasanabi is not a crossover I expected. I should reach out to him when I'm in Oxford, when I'm in London, when I'm in England. if he's out there. I don't know. And do a sit down. Alex O'Connor's a smart man. I'm biased because I'm a Brit too, but he's all we have in this space. I don't hate him. I think he is. I mean, there's definitely a lot more. I have a long list of British people that I admire before we get to someone like him. I don't know the full scope of his commentary, but having said that, he is he does give off, and maybe I'm totally off base with this, but he does give off r/atheism vibes. Like my opinion on religion is pretty well known at this point. I hope that you guys understand it. It's just like live and let live. People believe a whole bunch of hokum that I don't believe in. And I don't fault them for it as long as it's like offering some level of fucking guidance in their lives. But most importantly, as long as they don't use that to manipulate other people's existence and use that to harm other people. That's it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't care. I'm not invested in like trying to atheist pill you at all. Does that make sense? Pretty sure his education is in theology. I think isn't he philosophy? He's a philosophy nerd, isn't he? He isn't. He is nuanced on the theism now. He studied theology. I thought he was a philosophy guy. Why are you going to Oxford, England? Why are you going to Oxford? Don't worry about it. He has degrees in philosophy and theology. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Would you ever get a massage from a man? Fuck yeah. I need powerful hands to rub this body up and down.
And you were seeming to imply that these are almost interchangeable concepts.
Isn't the problem that people dismiss science because of religion? Isn't this the biggest issue we have? So many people ignoring reality like climate change. I mean, I think that reactionary tendency doesn't specifically come from, doesn't exclusively come from religion. There are plenty of non-religious people that also are, climate deniers, climate change deniers, like hyper focusing on religion. I think in this instance is just like
concepts. Now, if that's the case, when you say that this divine spirit behind the Bible is actually just the way that it has evolved throughout the human history, throughout the different manuscripts that we've had, then saying that that is what divinity is, I think for you may drag the mundane up into the realm of divinity. But I think for people like Richard and for many people listening, what it doesn't said is drags the divine down to the realm of the mundane.
Very well put, yes.
Well, I don't know why it would drag the divine down into the realm of the mundane if we're speaking of something like the straight and narrow path of harmony between multiple modes of being. I don't think it doesn't make any difference to me whether it's the material reaching upward or the divine descending downward. I don't think there's any difference between those two things.
You don't. That's exactly right. That's the problem.
Well, I don't.
You don't see the difference.
Like, this is nerd on nerd violence, dude. This is nerd on nerd violence. This is a crime, okay? I'm all in favor of shitting on Jordan Peterson, though.
Difference.
Well, look at it this way. So, for example, in this conversation, you know this to be the case. Like, there's various ways that this conversation could go sideways, right? Seriously, like either of us could try to win. Either of us could try to demonstrate our intellectual superiority, right? Each of us could misrepresent the other, or we could both try, and I do think we are in fact trying that, and I think Alex is helping.
Hopefully they united on their hatred for Islamo-leftism at the end of this process. You know what I mean? Real bipartisanship and compromise was found on this day. I hope.
Along with that, just fine. We could try to follow the thread of the exploratory truth and see if we could get somewhere. Now, I don't think there is any difference between that, by the way, and what's expressed in the biblical texts as the spirit of the Logos. That's why we have dialogue.
I'm very interested in the possibility that truths emerge through evolving manuscripts. Now, that's a very interesting idea, and it's totally different from divine inspiration. And I want to pursue it because I don't believe in divine inspiration, but I would be prepared to believe in evolving manuscripts.
Well, I would say...
Yes, the big issue is when atheists misattribute all of the world's problems. The religion is an idealist view. When the materialist worldview, religion is a simple tool used by both the oppressors and the oppressed for various reasons. Exactly. Religion is a tool. And the greatest example of this is Christianity being used to both uplift and defend the white supremacist construct of chattel slavery, and also Christianity being used as a guiding principle in liberation theology that played a formative role in the abolition of slavery. I like it if it's being used as a galvanizing factor for good causes, such as the abolition of slavery. I don't like it when it's used as a reason to uphold unjustifiable constructs that are inhumane, like chattel slavery. That's it. This is my major. I think this is what separates me from all the r/atheism people, is that they're like, no, you don't understand. Like, it's just religion. It's only religion. It's the religion. And also we should actively try to convert religious people to be atheists. Oh, my logic. Oh, my science. Instead of saying God bless you after you sneeze, I say science bless you, sir. It may not be a problem in California. As someone in Oklahoma, the religion is the problem. Yeah, totally. You're right.
This is why I had set forward the possibility.
The irony, of course, I think, with people that say, no, it's just religion that is the problem, is that you're doing the same thing that the dumbasses are doing on the other side. Okay? Right-wing Christians look at that and go, no, religion is the solution. And you hyper-focus on religion. It's not religion. Okay? It's capitalism. One example I can give you is that while the underlying material realities have gotten worse in comparison to like, where they could be, especially when you look at the wealth disparity in this country and the gap widening, religion, on the other hand, religiosity in America has gone down. It's actually gone down so consistently. Atheists, in spite of their annoying attitude, are winning this battle. But they're not necessarily winning this battle because they're making convincing arguments. Okay? That's because of Bill Maher's hit movie? Yeah. Atheists and agnostics are winning the battle. And I think it's because religion plays a formative role in uncovering certain truths about nature that science is, at this stage, incapable of addressing. And as science ends up figuring out certain truths to the best of its ability, then there's less space for religion in that process. This is why I think a lot of religious people happen to be anti-science. What? That has been debunked? What do you mean? Get debunked on, Unc. Militant atheism is teenage shit? Yeah, I mean, I was definitely way more of a r/atheism type of guy when I was much, much younger back in the day. Like, I still recall trying to debate my religion teacher in 3rd grade in Turkey on why our religion class wasn't teaching any other religions and only teaching Islam, and even going so far as to fail said class because on the tests I would draw a mosque rather than answer any of the religion questions. That's how much of a annoying little shit I was all the way up until high school. I think that was literally the first, I'm packing on a bunch of different experiences that I had throughout my development. It's not just all from 3rd grade. It's just, that's the first thing I remember from my childhood, being an angry baby and thinking, ooh, I'll be super cool and stand up against my teacher. I think it's also because he had fucked vibes. You know what I mean? Y'all don't know about r/atheism in Turkey, okay? Turkish people, holy shit. I'm willing to bet that a big chunk of the reason as to why fucking so many people are not as religious any longer is because of how fucking annoying people who teach religion are when they're growing up. That's why so many Catholics since birth are just like totally out of the religion. And that's probably why so many adult reverts and adult converts have deep levels of zealotry and fundamentalism. J.D. Vance, Michael Pence are two that immediately come to mind. That's why it's so funny to see a adult convert of Catholicism. When you're a kid, you're like, this shit's boring as fuck, bro. I don't care about this. Like, I want to go play basketball outside or some shit. You know what I mean? Why the fuck do I have to sit through this? My time could be best served watching anime, please. You know? I dislike militant atheists almost as much as the hyper religious. Yeah, militant atheists are so goddamn annoying. I'm sorry.
of taking a look, particularly at Mircea Eliade, because that's where you'd find the best work. He's brilliant. I believe that if you studied the history of religious ideas, it's a 3-volume manuscript, or The Sacred and the Profane, which is probably his single best work, that you'd see profound analogies between the manner in which you've been construing the world by.
Y'all just hate evangelicals? What do you mean? Oh, okay, listen, chatters. Dude, militant atheists are really fucking annoying, and Richard Dawkins is like the perfect reason why I despise militant atheists. Because militant atheists also, in their idealistic liberal notion of religion being the end all be all and the anti-religious movement being the solution to all of society's problems that they foresee, end up reinforcing a shit ton of white supremacist constructs, Islamophobia being the key thing. Okay? Dawkins is awesome. He's just saying the truth, not a militant. Am I crazy? Isn't Dawkins also, 1, a transphobe, and 2, recently admitted that he was culturally Catholic or some shit? He said he was like culturally Christian. Richard Dawkins, among many of these like new wave atheists, is like not exactly a good guy. He's a bit of a weirdo. Sam Harris is another one.
Biologically,
I would say he's not as big as a weirdo as this fucking guy, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff that they agree on,
including the trains of thought that led you to the development of the idea of the meme. I really believe that.
Well, analogies is one thing, but is it the same thing?
Here it is.
So I was slightly horrified to hear that Ramadan is being promoted instead. I do think that we are culturally a Christian country. I call myself a cultural Christian. I'm not a believer, but there's a distinction between.
Yeah, I'm a cultural Muslim, okay? And there's never been a moment where I was like, wow, we got to stop with these church bells. You know what I'm saying? Whoa, what is this? What's up with this promotion of the fucking church? The inconsistency in and of itself of like saying one type of religious cultural artifact is actually totally permissible and the other is actually wrong and bad. Okay. In my opinion, that in and of itself is just another way to reinforce the exact same white supremacist fucking constructs that Jordan Peterson is demonstrating. Okay.
Being a believing Christian and being a cultural Christian. And so, I love hymns and Christmas carols, and I sort of feel at home in the Christian ethos. I feel that we are a Christian country in that sense. It's true that statistically the number of people who actually believe in Christianity is going down, and I'm happy with that. But I would not.
Chatter sent me this thinking it's Richard Dawkins. Dog, this is, I believe his name is Jared Taylor, okay? Understandable mistake from an anti-white racist, such as members of this community. But this person is an out and about white nationalist, okay?
Be happy if, for example, we lost all our cathedrals and our beautiful parish churches. So I count myself a cultural Christian. I think it wouldn't matter if we substituted any alternative religion. That would be truly dreadful.
Well, which brings me to my supplementary point, which is that, as we know, church attendance is plummeting, but the erection of mosques across Europe, I think 6,000 are under construction.
Wait, is this the guy who says Asians are smarter than whites? No, that's, I think, Sam Harris. You're once again mistaking your white r/atheist heroes with one another. I mean, he might have entertained the scientific racism as well, race realism, but Sam Harris was the one who entertained the race realist, like the scientific basis for IQ and how it differs from race to race. Some real biological essentialism.
And there are many more, are being planned. So do you regard that as a problem? Do you think that matters?
Say what you will about Hitchens' disastrous Iraq war takes, but he was based regarding Palestine. Yeah, so many of these guys broke their brains after the war on terror. That's what it is. r/atheism guys just straight up had their brains completely broken, and not necessarily, some of which started under the George W. Bush admin, okay, but certainly under the Obama administration, where they kept they just became more and more insanely fucking militant against any sort of invocation of Islam, any sort of fucking imagery that depicts Muslims as like human beings. They were fucking, whoo, they went crazy over it.
Yes, I do really. I mean, I don't. I have to choose my words carefully.
During Bush, all atheists were basically like hardcore leftists and anarchists. Yes and no. That's why I always will have respect for Kyle Kulinski, because out of all of those, like, I'm a skeptic, I'm a skeptic thinker, I'm an anti-theist, I'm a Reddit atheist type of guys, he was the only one that was like, yo, we're really fucking over Muslims a lot, and it's pretty crazy. Whereas the rest of that community had incredibly reactionary tendencies that basically made their hyper focus Islam and Islamic culture, or whatever they understood it as, Islamic culture. No interest in like trying to understand how reactionary fundamentalist sentiment can manifest in a region that is like completely fucking dominated with war and destroyed, you know? That's what's so frustrating about it. It's like, dude, people, if you bomb them, if you blow them up, if you kill them over and over again, yeah, they're going to be fucking angry at you. And they're going to find themselves in the throes of reactionary thinking. And oftentimes that's going to play itself out in fundamentalist understandings of religion.
I mean, if I had to choose between Christianity and Islam, I choose Christianity every single time. I mean, it seems to me to be a fundamentally decent religion in a way that I think Islam is not.
I think you're going to have to explain why you say that, Professor Dawkins. Why is Islam fundamentally not decent like Christianity?
Yes, I mean, the way women are treated. I mean, Christianity is not great about that. It's had its problems with female vicars and female bishops and things. But there's an active hostility to women, which is promoted, I think, by the holy books of Islam. I'm not talking about individual Muslims.
Yeah. Christians, on the other hand, infinitely tolerant of women, you know? And again, all religion is beholden to interpretations, okay? Nobody follows religion to a T. And the people who claim to follow it down to the wire are actually fundamentalists, okay? If you look at religion and then say like, oh, Muslims are just like inherently anti-women because of their religion, you are refusing to understand the reasons as to how, you know, the current Muslim world got to the position that they got to. You're also monolithizing billions of people.
Who, of course, are quite different. But the doctrines of Islam, the Hadith and the Quran, is fundamentally hostile to women, hostile to gays, and I find that I like to live in a culturally Christian country, although I do not.
Well, he'd love America then, you know? That's right, baby. Culturally Christian. That's why our culturally Christians love electing like rapists who want pedophiles in the cabinet and sex offenders, you know? After taking away women's bodily autonomy. Historically, Christianity has never been used to oppress gay people. This guy gets it. Yeah, Murad even chimed in from the other room. He's like, historically, Christians have been very kind to gay people. Are you saying that people in desperate and violent circumstances use sociological inventions to organize and mobilize? No way. You think Germans would invent a sort of scientific race theory as a pseudo-religion and do violence? I would never say that. I would say that the Germans stole our work in the United States of America in terms of the scientific racism that they abided by as a pseudo-religion. Remember, it still somehow always loops itself back around to, Yankee ingenuity. Yeah, some of these militant atheist types often fall into the awful take that Islam is inherently bad, but only because they have conflated Islamic beliefs and practice with a false and racist conception of Middle Eastern culture. To make a long story short, they speak only with ignorance and bigotry about Islam. Exactly. It's also Orientalism. Like, a lot of people made hay about what I said about Hassan Nasrallah, the former general secretary of Hezbollah, the one that Israel assassinated, when I said famously that he was, like him, hate him, doesn't matter, a very well-read and brilliant man. Although I disagree with his worldview when it comes to like gay people and a whole bunch of other social issues, the reason why I mention that is because I was specifically talking about the optics, okay? A guy with a big beard, wearing traditional garb, not immediately traced as like an intelligent person by a lot of people on the West. They just automatically go, oh, that's like a mullah, And even fucking mullahs, for that matter, can be, okay? Now, of course, you can't have this kind of nuanced opinion, okay? An academic discussion on Orientalism and how it reinforces racist perspectives in the Western world paired up with Western chauvinism in a cycle of justification, When people hear that, they just go, this guy said Hassan Nasrallah is smart. He's not smart. You don't understand. He's a big beard and stupid. Like, that's it. Even if these people are your arch enemies, okay? Even if these people are your fucking arch enemies, you have to understand them. You have to understand where they're coming from, okay? Yeah, people can separate Ben Carson being an incredible neurosurgeon, but an absolute dumbass on everything else, but struggle with anyone Arab or, God forbid, Muslim. Exactly. These are some of my, these are some of the things that I am annoyed by with the inherently reactionary attitude that a lot of militant atheists. Yep, that's correct. Creane is 100% correct. People really do subscribe to the they hate us because they ain't a school of thought. Exactly. That school of thought is actually very welcoming. Okay, they hate us because they ain't us is a school of thought that immediately allows you to go, you know what? I don't have to look further into this. These guys are barbaric and we have to defeat them. Don't look at my logs. Why? What the fuck did you say recently? You play this game, you're already a criminal. She kept herself pure for you. I like how you base level of judging someone starts with, I don't hate them, Keck W. Grandma, let's go. Crane, you're a fucking freak. No, I know what he was referencing. You goddamn freak.
I'm not, put that away. I don't do recordings.
Okay. Do a quick question?
Yeah.
All right. You said you felt that the students protesting were driven by anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Do you feel it's possible they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza?
Do what, sorry?
Do you think they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza? Is it necessarily anti?
Respectable militant atheist defending the ethno-religious supremacist state of Israel doing a genocide by attacking its naysayers. Oh, my science.
Anti-Semitism?
Kind of feels like there is a higher order of priority here with hating Muslims, don't you think? This is inherently reactionary thinking. It is also inherently anti-science, okay? You're not logical. You are illogical. Do you understand? That's why Bill Maher, Sam Harris, this guy, and so many other militant atheists have fallen into this trap. Do you get it? Do you understand why I don't like the fucking, founding fathers of the militant r/atheist movement? This is it. It's just another way to be fucking annoying and racist. It's like when liberals do the same old fucking tropes that racist right-wingers engage in by saying, black people have a real problem with homophobia in their community. Black men are violent. Black men are violent and angry all the time. You just wanted permission to say the same fucking shit that right-wingers say openly. Okay? You just tried to find a way to do it in a liberal capacity. Okay? Is there homophobia in the black community? Of course there is. Just like there's a fuck ton of homophobia in the white community. Singling out black people like this is simply a way to offer yourself some kind of permission to be like, black people are just like reactionary. Okay? A lot of people engage in this trapping without recognizing it. It's because on its face, it sounds logical, right? On its face, you're like, well, that sounds logical to me, because it's true. It's correct. Yes, of course there's homophobia in the black community. Okay? Yeah, there is. Except singling out black people in this way is not only unfair, but also causes you to lose sight of how homophobia festers in every community. Okay. No, it doesn't sound logical. I mean, on its face, it does. You're just omitting key details. Does that make sense? It also comes with a generalization, right? One of the things that I always try to point people in the right direction on is monolithizing marginalized communities. Okay? Grand generalizations of marginalized communities hit way different than when you do it for the dominant in-group white people. Okay? It has a different purpose and it has a different impact. This is very important to contend with. Okay? Turn around and say all people of insert marginalized background are this way. It's very different than saying all Christians are this way in certain instances, like in a place like the United States of America, where Christianity is the dominant force.
Of course they're not driven by the horror and the slaughtering. You mean...
The students protesting.
Well, are you recording this? I'm not, put that away. I don't do...
Put that away. Anyway, Hassan's mic is as, please. It's going in and out. Noisegate's getting fucked. I don't think so. Reza Aslan, Bill Maher's not very sophisticated. Professor from UC Riverside.
I've been on the show a bunch of times. He's a comedian, but frankly, when it comes to the topic of religion, he's not very sophisticated in the way that he thinks. I mean, the argument about the female genital mutilation being an Islamic problem is a perfect example of that. It's not an Islamic problem, it's an African problem.
Well, wait. Because he says it's a, hold on a second, Reza. Because he says it's a Muslim country problem. He says that in Somalia.
Yeah, but that's, yeah.
Okay, I don't even agree with the way that's crazy. That was a wild thing to is an African problem? That's, okay, what? That's a wild way to reframe it. Goddamn, okay. She's like, listen.
Yeah, and that's actually empirically, factually incorrect. It's a Central African problem. Eritrea has almost 90% female genital mutilation. It's a Christian country. Ethiopia has 75% female genital mutilation. It's a Christian country. Nowhere else in the Muslim majority states is female genital mutilation an issue. But again, this is the problem.
What's the correct framing? He should have said it was most likely a regional issue that is born out of the instability in these countries. But I get what he was trying to say. Reza Aslan is an Iranian evangelical convert.
Is that you make these facile arguments like that women are somehow mistreated in the Muslim world. Well, that's certainly true in many Muslim majority countries like Iran and Saudi Arabia. Do you know that Muslims have elected 7 women as their heads of states in those Muslim majority countries? How many women do we have as head of states in the United States?
Reza, be honest though, for the most part, it is not.
Dude, 2014, this shit was popping, dude. Yo, you could just, I was about to say, things have not changed at all, okay? I guess like the language around it has changed a little bit, but like, dude, like, look at this. Like, anyone that tries to be like, listen, here's the actual truth of the matter. This has nothing to do with Islam. And also, interpretations of religion vary from country to country. And ultimately, you have to look at fundamentalism and not religion itself. You say some shit like that in any part post 9/11. You say some shit like that ever after 9/11, and people should be like, shut the fuck up. Why don't you go strap yourself with a fucking TNT vest and blow yourself up, okay? Yeah, Mr. Allahu Akbar. How about you shut your fucking Muslimic terrorist ass up?
a free and open society for women in those states.
Well, it's not in Iran, it's not in Saudi Arabia, it certainly is in Indonesia and Malaysia, it certainly is in Bangladesh, it certainly is in Turkey. I mean, again, this is the problem, is that you're talking about a religion of 1.5 billion people, and certainly it becomes very easy to just simply paint them all with a single brush by saying, well, in Saudi Arabia they can't drive, and so therefore that's somehow representative of Islam. It's representative of Saudi Arabia.
But hold
in
on,
Iran, they don't have...
I mean, I think that Bill Maher's...
Have you even read Dawkins' books? You're just wrong. He didn't take his racist heel turn until the last few years, and you're right. He's not being rabid mask off about it, but there's so much subconscious bias going on. He's old, and it's whatever. We still respect his research and debunk fundamental creationists. Yeah, I think a lot of people get lost in the sauce of the old work that people have and just don't understand that, like, people that might have had formative works that you appreciate have turned reactionary later in their lives, or maybe they were always reactionary, but they just didn't fucking, they didn't exhibit those tendencies as much in a way that tracks for you, okay?
Somehow representative of Islam. It's representative of Saudi Arabia.
But
in
hold on,
Iran, they don't have...
I mean, I think that Bill Maher's point is that these aren't extremists. We often talk about extremists and that we should crack down on extremists. And why aren't Muslims speaking out about extremists? In Saudi Arabia, when women can't vote and they can't drive and they need permission from their husband, that's not extremists. Why aren't we talking more about what? That's not extremist. That's commonplace. Why don't we talk more about the commonplace wrongs that are happening in some of these countries?
It's extremist when compared to the rights and responsibilities of women, Muslim women around the world. It's an extremist way of dealing with it.
But it's not extremist in that. It's not extremist in that
Arabia,
country in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Sam Harris literally said TSA shouldn't waste their time on travelers from white countries and only inspect Muslims. That's what made me drift away from these grifters. Here's old Hasanabi lore dump. Back when I was at the Young Turks, Sam Harris was at the Santa Monica Equinox. And I knew who he was because he had debated my uncle recently, but he didn't know who I was, obviously, because I was a up-and-comer at TYT. So I approached him, and I was like, oh, my God, you're Sam Harris. Big fan. And we had a very quick conversation about Islam at the Santa Monica Equinox that we were both working out at. Okay, quick lore dump. And in which I asked him about, like, why he places the emphasis on Islamic terror at a time when, 90 or not 95, I think at the time it was 75% of domestic terror incidents that take place on U.S. soil were actually white nationalist, far-right, anti-government extremists. Okay? I said this directly to him. I was like, the data, it shows that 75% of domestic terror incidents on U.S. soil have happened since 9/11, have happened in the hands of white supremacists, far-right, anti-government extremists. And to which he literally turned around and said, look behind you, there's the Santa Monica Pier. Okay? If that exploded right now, who would you think was responsible? Would you think, Mormon extremists would be responsible for that? Or would you think Muslim extremists would be responsible for that? And I was shocked at how non-data driven his attitude was on this, in this conversation. Straight up. And for the record, he has personally brought that forward as a epic own many times in public as well.
Arabia, that's the norm.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
that's
it's
what
not.
she's saying.
I mean, look, Saudi Arabia.
No, my response was I would not make an inference that it's Muslim or Mormon until there was more evidence presented. But why Sam Harris feel comfortable making this as an argument? And he has actually made this as an argument since then, right? Since that private conversation. Why? It's because when the overwhelming majority kind of agree with that statement due to the societal attitudes towards Islam as being like a singularly dangerous ideology that creates terrorists, okay, then you can get away with that sort of irrational thinking because ultimately that's just you being biased, right? That's just simply put you being a biased person. Yet it does not matter because if enough people agree with that bias and they take that bias as though it is the truth, then it doesn't matter if you're saying something that is completely illogical. Okay? We feel comfortable saying school shooters are white people. No. Brother, did you not hear the first part of this conversation where I told Sam Harris that the overwhelming majority, 75% of domestic terror incidents on U.S. soil since 9/11 were not done by Muslims, but instead done by white supremacists, anti-government, far-right terrorists? Like, did you just erase that part of the conversation from your brain? Are you choosing not to hear that? Okay, that's my point. That's why a lot of this is a testament to transphobia and like trans-panic defenses not working all that well. Okay. There's one trans person that did a fucking school shooting. And before then, and ever since then, right-wingers keep claiming that every school shooter or every shooter really that is high profile is trans, right? Over and over and over again. It is statistically marginal, okay? It is irrelevant. If you want to group the profile of a school shooter or a mass shooter, it's almost always a white guy, okay? With some exceptions. Having said that, however, it doesn't work when people try to say, oh, it's just, trans people that are doing it. But that hasn't stopped right-wingers from consistently claiming that it is a trans person. Okay? Now, the difference is white men specifically dominate in the field of school shootings so aggressively that you know, and because of the way we analyze whiteness and white people in general in a, you know, country like the United States of America, where whiteness is a socio-political framing of power, okay, a socio-political designation that is basically just saying you're a part of the in-group. People don't automatically assume racist opinions about white people. You don't, I'm a white guy. Nobody thinks I'm a fucking school shooter. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work in the same way. This is the difference between in-group, out-group dynamics. Those who retain power due to intrinsic qualities in a white supremacist society, you never monolithize those people. Okay? You have the capacity to understand that it's a complex and nuanced situation as to how they arrived at that position when it's a white person doing it. You never offer that same kind of nuance if it's a marginalized person doing it. You just go, that's how they are.
Is one of the most, if not the most extremist Muslim country in the world. In the month that we've been talking about ISIS and their terrible actions in Iraq and Syria, Saudi Arabia, our closest ally, has beheaded 19 people. Nobody seems to care about that because Saudi Arabia sort of preserves our national interests. You know, this is the problem, is that these kinds of conversations that we're having aren't really being had in any kind of legitimate way. We're not talking about women in the Muslim world. We're using 2 or 3 examples to justify a generalization. That's actually the definition of bigotry.
All right, fair enough. Let's listen to Benjamin Netanyahu at the United Nations today.
Oh, wait, dude, things never change. Okay, Kaya, okay.
So when it comes to their ultimate goals, Hamas is ISIS and ISIS is Hamas.
Guys, this is in 2014, okay? Just so you understand. This is in 2014. Oh, my Lord. This is in 2014, okay? Holy moly.
And what they share in common, all militant Islamists share in common.
Reza, the question at the bottom of the screen that everyone is looking at. Does Islam promote violence?
Islam doesn't promote violence or peace. Islam is just a religion, and like every religion...
Dude, look at this. Does Islam promote violence? Up next on CNN. Does every Muslim want to kill every American?
Religion in the world, it depends on what you bring to it. If you're a violent person, your Islam, your Judaism, your Christianity, your Hinduism is going to be violent. There are marauding Buddhist monks in Myanmar slaughtering women and children.
Facts.
Does Buddhism promote violence? Of course not. People are violent or peaceful, and that depends on their politics, their social world, the way that they see their communities, the way they see themselves.
So, Reza, you don't think that there's anything more... There's the justice system in Muslim countries, you don't think, is somehow more primitive or subjugates women more than in other countries?
Did you hear what you just said? You said in Muslim countries. I just told you that Indonesia, women are absolutely 100% equal to men. In Turkey, they have had more female representatives, more female heads of state in Turkey than we have in the United States.
But in Pakistan,
stop saying things like Muslim countries.
Women are still being stoned.
And that's
like, let me, what's up?
The problem for Pakistan. You're
so in
right.
other words,
so
you,
let's criticize
I
Pakistan.
just want to be clear on what your point is, because I thought you and Bill Maher were saying the same thing. Your point is that Muslim countries are not to blame. There is nothing particular, there's no common thread in Muslim countries. You can't paint with a broad brush that somehow their justice system or Sharia law or what they're doing in terms of stoning and female mutilation is different than in other countries like Western countries.
And mutilation and those barbaric practices should be condemned and criticized by everyone. The actions of individuals and societies and countries like Iran, like Pakistan, like Saudi Arabia must be condemned because they don't belong in the 21st century. But to say Muslim countries as though Pakistan and Turkey are the same, as though Indonesia and Saudi Arabia are the same, as though somehow what is happening in the most extreme forms of these repressive countries, these autocratic countries, is representative of what's happening in every other Muslim country is frankly, and I use this word seriously, stupid. So let's stop doing it.
Here's another throwback to Ben Affleck owning Sam Harris.
And about women, about homosexuals that are deeply troubling. So these are not Islamists, they're not jihadists, but they
those views are anathema to ours.
But they also keep women and homosexuals immiserated in these cultures, and we have to empower the true reformers in the Muslim world to change it. And,
But
lying about the link between doctrine and behavior is not going to do that.
But the great divide is not between Islam and the rest. It's rather between the fundamentalists and the moderates in each faith.
Okay, but we're misled to think that the fundamentalists are the fringe. Okay, we have jihadists, Islamists, and conservatives.
Well, and by the way,
it depends hundreds of millions of people fit that description.
You're saying that the strongest voices are coming from those who are jihadists and extremists, and that represents a bigger piece of the pie than we often think is true.
There's no question.
Okay, so having said that, and if even if that is true statistically or otherwise, the key thing to recognize that I don't think is part of the argument, but I think should be, is that there are voices that are oftentimes raised in opposition to these jihadists and to these extreme acts. But guess what? They don't get covered. They don't get exposed. And they're not given the same level of platform that we see the jihadists
One reason
get.
they don't get exposed is because they're afraid to speak out, because it's the only religion that acts like the mafia, that will fucking kill you if you say the wrong thing, draw the wrong picture, or write.
Yeah, dude. Famously, the only religion that acts like the mafia and kills you is Islam. Okay? Yeah. Brother, your refusal to understand nuance in this conversation is leading you down this illogical pathway of thinking. Okay? This is why I harbor a lot of resentment for Islamophobic r/atheist guys, the militant atheists. Okay? Not only historically have Christians done that, but they still continue to fucking do that. What are we talking about? When Israel claims they're doing it for Judaism, they're also, I don't agree. I don't believe that they're doing it for Judaism, just as much as I don't believe ISIS has anything to do with Islam. Okay? But Bill Maher, on the other hand, does think that that's appropriate and good. Okay? Same with George W. Bush saying he invaded, God told him to invade Afghanistan with a shit ton of, very far-right Christian generals who wanted to dip their bullets in pig's blood. Okay? Do you track that as a radical Christian act? You don't. And the people that say they do are lying because they want to win that fucking argument. Because when you live in a dominant Christian culture, you have the capacity to understand and separate fundamentalism from the acts of like the everyday average Christians. That's the difference.
Write the wrong book.
So you do have,
there's a reason why Ayaan Hirsi Ali needs bodyguards 24/7.
You do have that element of fear as well, but you also have other braver souls out there who do speak out.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali, another grifter who's now a Christian, by the way, Christian convert, Ayaan Hirsi Ali,
and who
who are risking their lives to do that.
like the Muslim clerics and others from Australia to Europe to the United States just recently publicly put their names on paper declaring their opposition to what ISIS and others are doing. So there are those voices, but where was the coverage? Where was that story to sort of create a different picture?
Well, what is your solution? What is your ask?
No,
just condemn Islam?
The solution,
the
solution is very much what
we've killed more Muslims than they've killed us by an awful lot. We've invaded more Muslims.
I'm not for more killing.
An awful lot. And yet somehow we're exempted from these things because they're not really a reflection of what we believe in. We did by accident. That's why we invaded Iraq.
We're not convincing anybody.
It's not I'm specifically telling you that I disagree with what you think.
I know, and we're obviously not convincing anybody of you.
If you don't understand my argument,
your argument is like, black people, they show.
No, it's not. It's based on facts. I can show you a Pew poll of Egyptians. They are not outliers in the Muslim world that say like 90% of them believe death is the appropriate response to leaving the religion. If 90% of Brazilians thought that death was the appropriate response to leaving Catholicism, you would think it was a bigger deal.
I would think it's a big deal no matter what.
Okay, but that's the fact.
But what I wouldn't do is say it's all Brazilians, or I wouldn't say, well, Ted Bundy did this. Goddamn, these gays are all trying to eat each other.
Okay, let me just give you what you want. There are hundreds of millions of Muslims who are nominal Muslims, who don't take the faith seriously, who don't want to kill apostates, who are horrified by ISIS, and we need to defend these people, prop them up, and let them reform.
Dude, apostates. That was an early relic. That was an early relic of the post 9/11 Islamophobia that r/atheists always love talking about. All these Muslims want to kill apostates. Yeah. I think it's got to be because I think it came from the fact that like so many ex-Muslim people that became like r/atheism dipshits were wanted to like heighten their importance. So I think like they presented their worldview as like, no, every single Muslim will like immediately kill you if you leave the religion. I think that's what it is. Like, because I don't know where the fuck this came from. And I know people will say, it's the religion, sweetie. It's like, no, that's not really like, it's not really a commonly shared opinion. Yeah, see, Turks in the chat saying that they're embarrassed, but they did that as well. A lot of r/atheists like Turks and former Muslims or people who grew up in Muslim countries that don't like Islam oftentimes play this very formative role in shaping people's understanding of it, not realizing that it like, you know, contributes to their own personal dehumanization. Yeonmi Parks, all of them.
ISIS couldn't fill a AA ballpark in Charleston, West Virginia, and you were making a career out of ISIS.
But no, it's not just ISIS. It's all jihadists. It's global. It's a phenomenon of global jihad.
I think that's the opposite.
There is those things. There's ISIS. There's global jihadists. The question is the degree to which you're willing to say, because I've
global jihadists, dude. What a time to be alive, dude. I mean, look. This is why I sometimes say we're back, but we're not as back as we were. You know what I mean? Do you understand? Like, things are this bad, but I don't know. Aesthetically speaking, it's not this level. Like, things are bad, but it still hasn't hit this level, I think. It will get there, though, when Trump is in office.
Witness this behavior, which we all object to on the part of these people. I'm willing to...
These people are talking about takfir, which is basically excommunication, but that phrase isn't mentioned in the Quran, nor is it supported by many Islamic scholars. It's seen as an Islamic militant thing. No, dude, you don't understand. Everyone's always killing people for leaving the religion, famously.
Flatly condemn those of you I don't know and have never met.
No,
this is
not
based
condemning
on
people. It's ideas.
And,
gotta make
and people who believe in those ideas. So it's based on reality, Ben. We're not making it up. That in the Muslim world, it is mainstream belief.
But this is such a caricature of Indonesia, of Malaysia, so much of the world. And this does have the tinge a little bit of the way white racists talk about African Americans and define blacks by.
What you're saying is because they are a minority, we shouldn't criticize.
They're not that much of a minority. It's the second biggest religion in the world.
Exactly, but you're treating them like a minority. I mean, if Filipinos were capturing teenagers and sending them into white slavery, we would criticize that. We wouldn't say, well, they're
criticize
Filipinos.
the people who are doing it, not the Philippines. You know what I mean?
Well, what if the people
as a Filipino kid lives down the street from you, it would have nothing to do with that. So these are different things. Crazy
racial
people.
Stereotyping.
I think it goes.
Let's talk. We mentioned ISIS. Let's talk about that.
Fucking own. That part was great. The greatest defender of all time, Bill Maher, against his Islamophobic tendencies will forever be, and I hate to give this to him because he's very different now, Glenn Greenwald. That Ben Affleck clip is great, but Glenn Greenwald on Bill Maher, if anyone has the clip, is a classic one. I used to play it all the time.
It's not our fault what came out. We didn't go into Egypt.
Well, we
wound up with the Muslim Brotherhood.
We didn't go into Egypt. We were supporting and propping up Mubarak for 30 years, even as we were cheering for all the Tahrir Square demonstrators as though we were on their side. It was our government that kept Mubarak in power, just like we've done across the entire Muslim world. And it's amazing for you to say that, well, look at all these Muslims. The minute you give them a little bit of freedom, they go wild and they start being all violent. How can you be a citizen of the United States, the country that has generated more violence and militarism in the world over the last 5 or 6 decades, and say, look at those people over there, they are incredibly violent? We play a significant role in what has been happening in the Middle East because we've been interfering and dominating that region in order to have access to the oil.
I wasn't talking about violence. I was talking about theocracy. That doesn't happen here.
No, well, okay, that doesn't happen here, but at the same time, Iran isn't invading lots of other countries and occupying them for a decade, nor are fundamentalist Muslim countries the way the United States is. So these things are interlinked because we are continuously interfering in that part of the world. And so to say...
Really, it's all our fault?
It's not all our fault, but when you send your military for 6 straight decades into other countries to bomb them, kill their children and women and innocent men,
we weren't
prop up
doing that.
dictators, yeah, you take responsibility for your actions and say, to the extent that that region
That religion goes back 1,000 years before our revolution. So I don't think we can take all.
This is so unimaginably racist because Islam in its golden age literally carried water for history continuing. Islam in its golden age led to many inventions that we take for fucking granted. Islam in its golden age is the reason why so many important academic materials were preserved. So he literally automatically, with his racist ass, white supremacist ass, Islamophobic ass, unironically just goes, 1,000 years. Like, shut the fuck up, you stupid ass bitch. Do you enjoy math? Okay, well, you know, thank the Islamic golden age, dumb fuck.
All the blame.
I don't think we should. I think we should take a lot of it. And there's lots of bodies and corpses that have been piled up in the name of Christianity and Judaism as well.
Not recently.
Have you heard of the occupation of the West Bank and Gaza for the last 50 years, motivated in part by extremist views of Judaism, or the wars in Europe, or the fact that there were generals in the United States saying we have to go and invade and destroy Iraq, a country of 26 million people, because our God is bigger? Lots of religions, not just Islam, produce violence.
Well, if I could just make one quick point about Egypt.
That silly liberal view that all religions are alike because it makes you feel good.
No, it makes you feel
good. Dude. He fucking cooked his ass so hard today, okay? And I will forever be understanding.
Good to say our side is better. Those
No, it
people
makes
over there
you
are
feel good
primitive
to
and
put a
violent.
crown on your head and say, I'm a good person. How do I prove that?
You get to ignore the responsibility that your own government has for the violence and instability in the world by saying, look, it's that primitive religion over there that's to blame.
At least there was a moment in time that I respected Glenn Greenwald. There's never been such a moment for fucking Bill Maher. That's my point. I guess I was too young to know and appreciate his immediate takes after 9/11. So as long as I've known myself, I have despised him. His career has just been a sequence of fucking L's downstream post that moment of moral clarity. Anyway, so yeah, people are yelling at Joe Rogan saying he's a dragon defender for a fucking clip from 2019. How stupid. All right, let's hear what Benjamin Netanyahu, what it looks like. What is this?
You know, when Bush was trying to gain international support for the invasion of Iraq, he met the French president, Chirac. And well, I'll tell you how I learned about this and then tell you what the story is. Around that time, I got a letter from a Belgian theologian who sent me a disquisition that he wrote on a very obscure passage in the book of Ezekiel about Gog and Magog coming and doing terrible things to Israel. Nobody knows what it means. Are they people? Are they places? It's just a very obscure passage. But in a stream of evangelical theology, this means an evil force will come from the north, attack Israel, lead to Armageddon, then all these things happen. Well, what happened with Bush and Chirac? Bush apparently started, this is January 2003, right before the war, he went off and started talking to Chirac about Gog and Magog. Chirac didn't know what the heck he was talking about. So he asked the Élysée, the French Foreign Office, what's this guy raving about? They didn't know. So they contacted this Belgian theologian who explained to them what it's about. I learned about this at the time, but I didn't believe a word of it, so I never wrote about it. But I did mention it to an Australian academic, a researcher, Clive Hamilton, and he looked into it, and it's true. It shows up in the French biographies of Chirac. Well, this tells us that, you know, speaking of the dangers we face, our fate is sometimes in the hands of people who are, by any rational standards, hard to believe. And it's not the only case. Actually, Reagan talked about Russia as Gog and Magog.
Well, we seem to be having a little trouble in our relations with.
Yeah. What is this? Yale graduate and hedge fund manager is the new Treasury Secretary of the new working class party. Scott Bessent, a Soros protege? What does that even mean? Anyway, the point is, I'm consistent in my analysis. Okay? I'm consistent in my analysis. I do not believe George W. Bush did. I do not believe George W. Bush invaded Iraq and Afghanistan for religious reasons. Okay, no matter what he said in private or in public. Just like I don't think that Islam is uniquely evil or uniquely bad. It's not. Religion is simply a tool for the masses to organize around, and it can be used for good or it can be used for bad. The real reason why there's so many reactionary tendencies and fundamentalist beliefs that you see in that region is because of American destabilization. That's it. American destabilization and propping up radical factions, or American destabilization and those radical factions inevitably fighting back against American destabilization, further American destabilization. That's it.
Now to a CBS News exclusive conversation with Democratic Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride is her name. She's from Delaware, the first openly transgender person ever elected to the House. She is already facing challenges like a resolution from Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace to ban transgender women from women's bathrooms on the Hill. House Speaker Mike Johnson now says lawmaker and staff will be required to use restrooms according to their sex that they were assigned at birth. So how is McBride responding to all of this? She tells our Scott McFarland she just plans to focus on her work.
I would like my grace to contrast with the grandstanding that we're seeing right now. I would like my approach of respecting everyone to contrast with the disrespect that we are seeing right now. I'd like people to see my competence in governing contrast with their chaos.
Do you follow this rule? Do you adhere to it?
I have already said that I will not use multi-stall women's restrooms in the Capitol. But again, that is...
Bro, they don't see you as human. What are you saying? I'm losing my mind. They do not see you as a human being. This is not coming from a place of logic. They are hateful towards your existence. The thing is, look, I can't put myself in the mindset of a trans woman, okay? I can't. I don't know what it's like. I have no idea, like, what the defense mechanisms look like in that situation. But I feel like because you are an overt representative of trans people in the eyes of many with this microscope on you, I feel like there's a lot of responsibility in this situation. A lot of responsibility you have in not caving and capitulating to insane, rabid, transphobic monsters, you know? Like Rashida Tlaib, I feel like Rashida Tlaib is a fighter for Palestinians. You know what I mean? Ilhan Omar is a fighter for Muslims. They're both very understanding of the environment that they're in, and they don't cave to reactionary pieces of shit. Right? I don't know. I think that there's a better way to deflect away from the very obvious transphobic distractions that Republicans are trying to put forth without caving to their idiotic rules and demands. Like even Mike Johnson originally had a very different approach until the Republican base yelled at him and he had to come out and be like, yeah, that's right. We're doing biological men and women. One must ask the question why a rabid, sociopathic, far-right Christian like Mike Johnson even was a little bit taken aback by the congressional bathroom bill situation. I think the worst, like the most responsible party here outside of like the rabid transphobic right-wingers is certainly the Democratic Party for not immediately running to her defense.
My choice here, I always knew that there would be an effort to politicize my use of a restroom. And if anyone had thought to ask me about what I was planning on doing, I would have been.
There's a number of different ways to go. This is really good too. Perp girl, trans woman here, she should be pushing back by saying we have actual sexual predators in Congress and they're busy trying to denigrate her character. That's a good one. Mine was Lolo got cooked on TikTok for your point.
For the people of Delaware, I see some of you people and liberals saying this thing, reading from the book on tyranny.
Say instead, I'm willing to hear it.
Tell me exactly what you think she should do and say. And no, saying she's learned.
I have given tangible answers. Hey, Maria, I don't agree with everything you said here and may make a video talking about it, but I do agree with some stuff you said, and for that reason, I took my video down. I can't say ... I think her reaction to this obvious trans panic shit, and I talked about this yesterday and the day before, but her immediate reaction to this should not have featured any sort of capitulation whatsoever. She should have just simply said, I'm here to fucking work for my constituents. Some of my constituents, like myself, are going to be trans, okay? It doesn't matter what their background is, and it doesn't even matter if they are, if they didn't even vote for me. My job here is to defend them and do what's right by them. And in the interest of doing that, I'm not going to fucking get distracted by these silly attempts at congresspersons in engaging in culture war because they don't want to actually improve the lives of their own constituents. It is ridiculous. Transphobia is unacceptable. And the very fact that these people who in the past have been pro-LGBT, like Nancy Mace, because we know in 2021 she was posting about fucking how pro-trans she was, I will not be abiding by these ridiculous standards. And no one should be expected to abide by unjustifiable, ridiculous standards like this. And everybody understands why. And especially at a time when congressional approval rating is at an all-time low, this kind of ridiculous stunt is only going to make Americans lose even more faith in Congress. What the fuck are you doing? We have hungry mouths to feed, okay?
Happy to tell them. But again, this is not an issue. And this has never been an issue in this complex. Everything was fine until some members of the small Republican conference majority decided to get headlines and to manufacture a crisis.
Anti-transgender rhetoric, as you may recall, was a mainstay of GOP attack ads during the 2024 campaign. McBride will be sworn into Congress in early January, along with the rest of her colleagues.
Beirut today.
Bro, on the one hand, I understand a person not wanting to be in the crosshairs as a trans individual. But on the other hand, if you don't draw any red lines in transphobia, then you are giving more permission for others to, double down, triple down. Doesn't that make sense? Like, it's not going to stop here. They're going to start fucking dead naming her and shit. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to start getting really vicious. I know, because when there is no social pressure, when there's no outside factors at play, transphobes only fucking go nuttier and nuttier. Nancy Mace tweeted like 360 fucking times in a span of 24 hours after she was like, oh, no more trans women in bathrooms. 360 times about the trans bathroom bill that she was trying to push for. You have to show that you are not to be fucked with. Like, have a little bit of backbone. Like, while I understand wanting to cause no friction whatsoever, on the other hand, I think that, like, as a representative, you have an outsized duty. As a representative from an incredibly dehumanized and dominated, marginalized group, you have, unfortunately, a higher degree of responsibility because, like, I think a lot of trans people in this chat will also admit this. But, like, when you're trans in public, I feel like that's always something that you carry with you, where you know that, like, if you did something weird, then all of a sudden that, like, is every trans person like this. That all of a sudden leads people into believing that, like, every trans person is like this. And the example I'll use is, like, that one random fucking lady who is like a pedophile or something. I forget what her name is, but everyone always points to her to be like, see, trans people are pedophiles because, like, she's like YouTube's favorite singular trans sex pest. Jessica Yaniv, I think, right? Is that the one? Yeah, I think so. I don't even fucking remember her name. But like that dominated discourse for so fucking long, dude. That dominated discourse for so goddamn long. Like, people would just constantly point to her and be like, see, I told you, they're all like this. And it's like, these people don't understand that they're being insanely bigoted when they say that. Okay? But that is the reality, that when you're a trans person in public, and especially when you're representing trans people in the fucking global stage like this, you have an incredible amount of attention on you, an incredible amount of eyeballs on you. And so when the most, when the most visible trans person with genuine power basically turns around and says like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. What are you going to do about it? I don't know. It just like you're opening up a whole litany of problems for yourself. Like, I'll give you an example of Islamophobia that I face, right? All the goddamn time. It's like the number one method of shitting on me is to be like, yeah, he's a Muslim terrorist. Duh. He's trying to be like Yahya Sinwar is what they're saying now, okay? There's a level of like friction in that regard that I'm not going to do anything about because it's like, because me entertaining it only causes people to double down on it and triple down on it. Now, I'm a fucking political commentator, but I still have red lines. You know what I mean? I have red lines. Like, if you cross certain red lines, it's like, it's completely unacceptable. While I understand the way that Islamophobia is presented in public and is totally seen as permissible, there are still certain things that if people do, I'm going to be like, nah, that's not allowed. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, she's giving the right more room to do more harmful things to every trans person. And by the way, she's not fucking, it's not like entirely her fault. The right is going to be transphobic anyway. The right is going to be transphobic whether she is, trans in Congress or not. They're going to be transphobic. But when you turn over and say, it's fine, I guess, it's like you're only causing them to double down, triple down, quadruple down. You cannot allow a permission structure for this kind of fucking attitude to fester.
An Israeli strike smashes into a multi-story building. Crowds now regularly gather to watch from a distance when Israel announces where it's about to hit in advance.
Journalist.
Most of those living...
Dude, this is so funny. Drama alert. Twitch bans journalists investigating the platform. Dan K. Stream claims he was indefinitely banned immediately after putting in a data request. He was banned for doxing someone and posting pictures he found of them when they were underage. Journalist, dude. I guess in Keemstar's eyes, that is journalism, being like a fucking hysterical psycho. I'm visibly trans. Every trans person has a different way of dealing with existing as a walking political issue. I don't get to not be political. People literally won't let me. However, I agree with you that she should be fighting back, and the Democrats need to be backing her up on this. This will only look bad for Democrats down the line. Yeah, that's my biggest fear. That's my biggest fucking fear in this Sarah McBride situation is that what if she can't be an important voice in giving Israel $20 trillion? Okay, that's my number one fear. Okay, because she needs to be there to give Israel as much money as possible. So that's number one. But number two, if we're not going to talk about that and we're going to talk about some other shit, okay, that is still relevant, but not as relevant and as important as making sure that, her top priority is achieved. Okay. That is my number one issue as a voter for her. I illegally voted for her in Delaware because I was like, I want you to give maximum. I want you to blow through the max cap for Israel. Okay. But the second, somewhat also important, but maybe not as important take that I was going to say, and now I'm forgetting because I fucking did the Israel joke. God damn it. Fuck. God damn it. Meanwhile, Hassan sits in front of a computer all day. No, sometimes I get off this computer, drive over to your house, and fuck your mom, chatter. You're banned. Well, not banned. You're grounded. I'm your daddy now. What was I gonna say? God damn it. Oh, the reason why I'm worried about the Sarah McBride stuff is because like Democrats have already they've already positioned themselves as like being kind of not even trans agnostic. They were kind of trans agnostic this past cycle, but now they're like anti-trans. Like they're saying that they're gonna be anti-trans. So this only further confirms my suspicion that they're just literally going to run an anti-trans route, which is not only electoral poison, but it's also, and not to say that like putting trans people at the forefront of your political messaging is going to be, gangbusters for you. That's not what I'm saying at all. But like not offering any defense to trans people whatsoever is just going to create a space where Republicans usually dominate that over and over again. And it gives your audience a permission structure to also be transphobic. And at a time where trans people are disproportionately targeted and Americans are very aware of this reality, I think it's really insane to just like throw them under the bus. And when the only trans representative is also fucking throwing herself under that bus, it is, it's yet another indication that Chapel Roan was right and we must respect her. Okay? Chapel Roan was right when she said Democrats are fucking transphobic and they love doing the Kamala cost. Okay? She was right. She didn't say it like that, but Democrats are not doing phenomenon shit, okay? They are not hot to go.
In the city's southern suburbs, where support for Hezbollah is high, have already fled. But not everyone.
Fruits of our lifetime are gone. Our memories, our safety is gone. Israel decided to steal them from us, but we won't let them. We're staying.
On the ground in southern Lebanon.
No, you're right. It is moving trans acceptance backwards. No, you're absolutely correct on that. Dude, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you of a time, seemingly a lifetime ago, but it's actually not that long ago. I want to go back to the year 2016, when North Carolina decided to put trans people in the crosshairs and came out with a reactionary bill that is the same exact bill that Nancy Mace wanted to do for Sarah McBride, actually, a trans bathroom bill. Now, I'm so old that I was a political commentator back then, so I remember that, even though half of you guys were like 8 years old. Okay? At that time, everyone was like, what the fuck? We're pulling out. Industry threatened to pull out of North Carolina entirely. They were like, we're going to do a BDS on North Carolina. Okay? And North Carolina immediately backed away from it. Donald Trump came out as pro-trans and specifically against that bathroom bill. That's right. That's because when people used to, make a big fuss about this sort of thing, it made people understand that this kind of reactionary sentiment is not permitted. It's not allowed. Now remember, Unite the Right Rally 1 in Charlottesville, after a fire hose of pro-Nazi sentiment in liberal media and Donald Trump certainly, thousands of neo-Nazis, openly wearing khakis and not even hiding their faces, marched on a Robert E. Lee statue, screaming, "Jews will not replace us." The next day, the riots continued, and a neo-Nazi that drove all the way from Ohio drove into a crowd and killed anti-fascist Heather Heyer. It seemed at that moment that the Nazi movement was so prominent and so large, so vast, that there was no way out of it. And it didn't feel like the federal agencies were going to do anything about it. So people took matters into their own hands. I will not be going into detail with what people did as far as unmasking certain neo-Nazis and leaking the details of their private correspondences all over the internet. Maybe some other stuff on the streets as well. The media spent a whole bit of time in that process shitting on the anti-fascists who bravely took matters into their own hands when the institutions propped up the fucking neo-Nazis. Never forget. Why am I telling you this story? Because people used to yell at me all the time because I had the anti-fascist book behind me back then, and people would be like, "Oh, you're an anti-fascist? You're a terrorist." And I was like, "Yeah, I am. Yes, I am an anti-fascist. You're right." You know who else was an anti-fascist? Your fucking grandfather, okay? He fought Nazis. But why am I telling you this story? Because people took this matter into their own hands. Unicorn Riot is an example of a group that comes to mind. And then the second Unite the Right rally was sparsely attended. It was attended by 30 people or something, surrounded by thousands of anti-fascists that had stormed the streets to counter-protest against this tiny, minuscule neo-Nazi rally. This is what I remember. This is what I experienced. This is what we all, in some ways, lived through. So that's why right now, while the situation is different, and it seems like liberals are not necessarily interested in even doing a little bit of hashtag liberal resistance, and mainstream media is falling apart, you still have people power. You still can rely on your neighbors. You still can rely on your community. Okay? That's it. If the institutions won't protect you, others around you will. Just remember that. That's it. Anyway, that's why I don't shit on anarchists that much, even though I do shit on them a great deal. Because no matter what happens, no matter how smelly and crusty they might be, they're always at the forefront of mutual aid and community organizing, even though they do exhibit record behavior when it comes to class solidarity or any sort of solidarity principles. They're still always there to help. Just remember that.
The Israeli army has said it's expanding its fight against Hezbollah, pushing into a second line of villages further away from the border, even as talks on a possible ceasefire have been gathering pace. US envoy Amos Hochstein met Israeli officials yesterday after having been in Beirut. A deal that would see Hezbollah pull its forces back from the border seems to be on the cards, though it's not yet been agreed.
It is wild, by the way, that literal fucking former IDF agent is like our number one responsible party for the current peace talks in the region. Amos Hochstein is just straight up IDF guy, like former IDF guy. It's crazy.
Now, there's both talking and fighting. This, a funeral for an Israeli man.
Breaking: Jewish Insider via Marco. More than 50 Jewish groups blast Senator Ossoff and Warren on for votes against Israel aid. The coalition criticizing the Georgia Dems includes the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta Synagogues and Jewish Day Schools. Bro, have a little bit of respect, man. That's crazy. Imagine being like, we are the community of Jewish day schools, and our singular goal here is to criticize people who don't want Palestinian day schools to be exploded with American weapons, okay? Like, that's so fucked up. It is so fucking embarrassing. It's so goddamn gross. Like, that's, oh my God. Oh my Lord. The letter is a sign of the growing Jewish backlash between, by the way, this is bullshit, okay? Let me tell you something. I do not believe this even for a second. Every single person that signed this letter is not directly fucking tuned in to their constituents and directly tuned into every single, or even the majority of the Jewish people in their groups, okay? They do not give a fuck. They are using Jewish preschool or whatever, Jewish organization, like the name Jewish in their organizations, in an effort to criticize these people as though they have an outsized, as though that like there are real Jewish constituents that are very angry with these statements. The problem is the anti-Zionist or even liberal Zionist Jewish groups that are in favor of what Ossoff did, including J Street, which is a liberal Zionist institution, if you remember, it's like supposed to be the counter to AIPAC, do not have this level of prominence in mainstream media. Now, Jewish Insider is a dish rag. And so is, J Post and many of these other papers, but it still doesn't matter, right? Or Jewish, what is it? It's Jewish Insider, and then there's a Jewish Chronicle. Sorry, not J Post. Well, J Post is whatever. By the way, John Ossoff is Jewish, but that's besides the point because Judaism does not factor into this equation at all. Okay, my goddamn synagogue is on this letter. I'm losing my mind. That's what I mean. Like it's just fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. You saw that J Post. You saw that J Street poll. Like, these guys are not doing something that is against their constituents' best interest, okay? These guys are not actually enacting the wishes of anti-Semites or anything. You'll never guess the first organization that's listed on this letter. Ha! ADL. This is so bad. It's so bad. It's so gross. It's so lame. It's so fucked up. I do not believe that an outsized number of Jews in Atlanta legitimately think what these guys did is fucked up. I don't believe it at all. Okay? I don't. These institutions use the name of Judaism to enact a horrifying agenda of apartheid and genocide and to defend it. It's gross. It is anti-Semitic. You will never convince me of the opposite. Okay? And I think this doesn't mean that there isn't an outsized level of support in especially some of these communities. Okay? I don't. I understand that, there is a shit ton of social conditioning at play here. There are a lot of Jews who are terrified of anti-Semitism rising in America and in the Western world in general. It's also unhelpful that a lot of mainstream outlets also feed into that narrative by repackaging criticisms of Israel as, anti-Semitic incidents. But outside of that, there is also very real anti-Semitic incidents occurring all around the country. And when you have that, and Israel is seen as the only protector and only solution to that problem, especially when it's tied so deeply to your cultural history, Okay. You create a new crop of people who also associate themselves and their religion with Israel in and of itself, regardless. So I'm not saying that there aren't people in these groups, in these congregations that are, immediately offended, and there's not a single Jewish person that thinks this bill is bad and anti-Semitic. Of course there are. But I am willing to bet that this still doesn't represent the broad, the broadest subsect of Jewish Americans in Atlanta. And it's simply institutions that are presenting themselves as like a unified front against anti-Semitism by packaging what Jewish Senator John Ossoff and former Reverend and liberation theologist, radical liberal Raphael Warnock voted for. Blocking aid provides cover for those who seek to harm the Jews around the world and further fuels the increase in anti-Semitism that has been surging in our communities. I don't understand how people also like hitting the fucking anti-Semitism button over and over again. I just legitimately don't understand, especially at a time when anti-Semitism is increasing. When you hit it for like congressional legislation that denies weapons transfers to Israel, which is something that like fucking 70% of American Jews are on board with, at least according to the J Street poll. The bill itself was also backed by J Street, before I forget. Okay. I just don't know. I don't know what to say about this. Like, I don't know. I don't see this being positive at all for American Jews. I don't see this being positive at all for anybody, really, but especially not positive for American Jews, because people are going to look at this and be like, yeah, I guess it is Judaism that is causing people to fucking love Israel, you know? It's crazy.
Damn, this guy's good.